All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a beautiful Monday evening. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you very much for being here. Before we get into the conversation, I want to thank folks on TikTok who have helped us to get 40.9K likes. I can see Omobe Ko, I see Ibo Jinodu, I see Jakesman, Ogbeni Agbe, Abby 71, Kopoko, I can't see that name, but I know he usually is here. Olajumoke Oli, thank you very much for power tapping. So on TikTok, we have 42.1K likes right now. That's beautiful. If you're on TikTok, please power tap. Let's like the live so we can push the live to the FYP together. All right. Thank you so much. Your support helps a lot. Also, click on the heart icon above my image there and kindly join the team. If you're on TikTok, drop a heart to me, drop a gift. Let's try and push the live to the FYP together. That's how TikTok works. So I'm sure we're going to be able to do that together today. Thank you very, very much. For folks on YouTube and on Facebook, thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here. Please like the live and also share with others, so that way we can push the live together. Today we're discussing a recent conversation, but we're going to be doing history as well. So it was Kenneth Okonkwo who was on Channels TV recently, and he made certain statements, and we're going to, of course, in the video we debunked some of the things he said because he made some he was referring to some historical events and he was false in his submission. So we tried to set the record straight. And again, these conversations help us to understand more about Nigerian history so that people don't easily just bamboozle us with whatever they're doing, which is usually just making noise and getting everybody, upset by, playing the victim or being marginalized and things like that. The important thing is that we're all informed so that, those who need to heal, they get to heal, and those who are well already will be informed of the truth, so that we can all build a nation where we don't have to blackmail or lie to people in order to take advantage of what they have. So today's conversation is about something that happened in the 70s and the 90s as well, because we're trying to respond to the claims that Kenneth Okonkwo made in this particular interview. So we're gonna have a great day, a great time together. Like we usually do, we're going to read an article. Like I said, it used to be a short description, but at some point we said, let's start having articles written as well, so that people across different platforms will be able to read. For instance, people read articles on Facebook, and if we have a video out, it's also cool if we can take the time to write articles. And I'm glad we do have an article for this particular one, and I will read it. But before we do that, again, let me welcome folks on Facebook. We're going to open Twitter up in a bit. I really wish we could do it now, but we're trying to put something out there, which interestingly is also from this particular video, speaking specifically to the narrative about, marginalization in terms of Igbos not having had a presidential ticket, so to speak, or anyone from the Igbo stock as president since 1999, how that is some form of marginalization is not true. It is not true. We're going to get into that, but that video will be on Twitter much later. In a bit, actually. All right, so let's get into this. We're going to get on Twitter later, but for now, we're on YouTube and Facebook. We're also here on TikTok. Again, if you're on TikTok, please don't stop our tapping. Let's keep liking the live and also give gifts. What's the word now? Drop heart me's so that we can push the live to the FYP. And I also want to say to those on YouTube to subscribe. All right, please subscribe. So let us get into today's conversation. So today's stuff is the Igbo Presidency confession, why Kenneth Okonkwo exposed Peter Obi. But of course, on your screen, you can see Igbo Presidency, Kenneth Okonkwo exposes Peter Obi. So I'm going to start with the article and then we'll watch the video. We'll listen to the recording together. The masks are finally sleeping in Nigerian politics, and the revelation is nothing short of explosive. Peter Obi's former spokesman, Kenneth Okonkwo, recently spoke on Channels TV, where he exposed what many stakeholders long suspected about the inner workings of the obedience movement. For many months, a highly coordinated media machinery told the nation that the movement behind Peter Obi was a grand altruistic rescue mission, anchored purely on merit and competence. Now an insider has shattered that illusion by admitting that he campaigned for Peter Obi because he wanted an able man to win the presidency. This confession completely shifts the conversation around the 2023 electoral cycle and exposes how thousands of well-meaning young voters were led to believe they were fighting for national transformation, when the actual agenda was firmly rooted in an ethnic project aimed at securing an Igbo presidency. Political desperation has a way of forcing players to invent false historical narratives to justify their current ambitions. During his media outing, Okonkwo attempted to defend his position by claiming that the Southwest region demanded the presidency as an exclusive right in 1999, following the tragic annulment of the 1993 election. Misrepresents how civilian governance returned to the country. The Yoruba people never issued an ultimatum to the nation demanding their turn. The historical reality is that the G34 coalition, which eventually laid the foundation for the People's Democratic Party, PDP, proposed a gentleman's agreement to present a Yoruba candidate as compensation for the 1993 debacle and the political injustice done to Chief MKO Abiola. Even with that understanding, rather than give an automatic ticket to Olusegun Obasanjo, prominent Igbo men like Alex Ekweme and Jimmy Wombodo, alongside South-South figures like Alabo, Tonye Brown Douglas, Donny Tibet, Francis Ella, and Philip Asiodu, still insisted on running and threw their hearts into the ring. Olusegun Obasanjo secured his position at the historic Just primaries in February 1999 because he garnered 1,658 votes to decisively defeat Alex Ekweme, who scored 521 votes. Power was earned through a democratic process, making it highly ironic that the fear of facing internal party primaries is the exact reason Peter Obi keeps hopping from one party to another. The persistent narrative that the Igbos are being marginalized or owed a debt by the rest of the country collapses under the weight of historical evidence. Even if the Yoruba were so honored by the PDP in 1999, it would still be wrong for Igbos to use that as the basis for negotiation in 2026. Nigeria took extraordinary steps to foster national reconciliation and provide a deep sense of belonging to the Igbos barely 9 years after the conclusion of the Civil War. During the 1979 transition from military to civilian rule, all three major political establishments featured prominent Igbo individuals at the very top of their tickets. The NPP, Nigeria People's Party, featured Nnamdi Azikiwe as its presidential candidate. The National Party of Nigeria, NPN, had Alex Ekweme as its vice presidential candidate, and the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN, featured Philip Omiadi. It is an established historical fact that global history contains almost no examples of a nation elevating the leadership of a losing side in a civil war to the second highest political office in the country so quickly after a secessionist conflict. This significant gesture proved that the country fully embraced its brothers and sisters. Furthermore, those who throw fits when they hear of a Muslim ticket need to understand that both the NPP and the UPN presented Christian tickets in 1979, as both Nnamdi Azikiwe and his running mate, Professor Ishaya Audu, were Christians, and both Obafemi Awolowo and Philip Omiadi were Christians as well. To attempt to use the war as a crutch or bargaining chip in 2026 is ridiculous, especially when Nigeria went through the immense trouble of reintegration by ensuring that Igbos were on all major platforms in 1979, just 9 short years after the war. That debt was paid, and Nigeria does not owe any group anything anymore. The modern electoral landscape operates on cold numbers and strategic alliances, not emotional blackmail or appeals for sympathy. The national political structure applied the exact same model of inclusion to the South-South in 2007, following the bombing of oil installations and agitations in that region. One of their own, Goodluck Jonathan, was made the vice presidential candidate for the PDP, and the party won. Later became president after Omar Yar'Adua died while in office. Nigeria has settled her debts. The lesson for every regional bloc is clear. Political power is never served on a silver platter. Whoever wants to win now must fight for it. No one will make an Igbo man Nigeria's president just because he is Igbo. And Kenneth Okonkwo's call for the APC to zone his presidential ticket to an Igbo candidate is a joke taken too far. In the last 3 election cycles, it has been proven, and sadly so, that to become the president of Nigeria, one does not need to win the Southeast. We saw this with President Buhari in 2015 and 2019, and with President Tinubu in 2023. The voting pattern of the region, which routinely delivers over 90% of its total ballots to a single candidate, completely destroys its strategic bargaining power on the national chessboard. When a bloc locks its votes away so predictably, it loses the ability to negotiate the cross-regional alliances that are vital for winning national elections. The claim that Igbos are uniquely excluded from leadership ignores the vast diversity of the Nigerian Federation. Kenneth Okonkwo stated that the Igbos are the only ones from the South who have not produced a president since 1999. But Nigeria did not begin in 1999. The Igbos produced a president in Nnamdi Azikiwe and a head of state in Aguiyi Rossi in the past. If the basis for leadership is purely about a region taking its turn, then dozens of other ethnic groups across the country have an equal right to complain. Southern ethnicities like the Ibibios, Anang, Urobo, Edo, Etako, Isoko, and Ikwere have never produced a president. Northern ethnicities like the Tiv, Idoma, Igala, Bachama, Ebira, and even the Hausa have not produced presidents either. Threats, falsehoods, manipulation, and loud voices will not create an Igbo presidency. And no amount of blackmail will make Nigerians vote for an ethnic project being touted as competence, especially when that competence was nowhere to be found when they had the opportunity to govern a state. True leadership requires stepping into the arena, building national consensus, and contesting transparently within party structures. Nigeria does not owe any region the presidency. And since we all agreed that competence, not ethnicity, is the basis for choosing a president, let us not change our minds now. Here is Igbo Presidency. Kenneth Okonkwo exposes Peter Obi. Please take a listen. Let us have Kenneth Okonkwo. Kenneth was on Politics Today on Channels TV, and he went all out. We're wondering what exactly is going on. That's what I was saying earlier, that I don't know what happened between Kenneth Okonkwo. If you look at our topic today, the title is, what's the big deal about Tinubu plus what did Obi do to Okonkwo? Hopefully at the end of this session, people will be able to answer that question, because I really would like to have answers. So let's start with this one. Again, this is Kenneth Okonkwo, former spokesman for Peter Obi and now member of AGC. Please take a listen to what he has to say.
Candidate. And now you said NDC has zoned to the south. Recall that NDC, they are mere renegades from ADC. And the reason they went there is because they are scared of participating in primary elections.
Who are those renegades?
NDC.
I mean, is it fair to refer to those who are who legitimately, who constitutionally decided to pitch their tent in with a certain group? The Constitution guaranteed them the freedom of alliances, of grouping, of membership, of association. Why would you call them a renegade? Who exactly is a renegade to you based on their action in that party?
Okay. And maybe I was even too lenient. Let me say they are political con men.
Who exactly are you talking about?
Okay. Let's look at it this way. They came into the coalition.
Who are they?
On their own.
Who are they?
I am talking about Peter Obi and Kwakwanso. They came into the coalition on their own. And they said coalition is the best and the only method to send Tinubu packing, by their own words. And on their own, without any reason, they left for NDC. Is that not being a con man?
But don't they have the right to change their mind? Don't you change your mind as a human being?
Very good.
So is it a crime now to change one's mind? If you see that your association is fraught and is not aligning with your purpose.
And you didn't know that such association is not aligning before you entered. and you didn't have any reason for going except that you want power. Let me put it this way. And why did I use the word con man? Let's talk about P2B, for instance. In 2019, P2B was the vice presidential candidate of Atiku Abubakar. The Constitution in section 142 says the vice president is an associate of the president. An associate means you are joined with, aligned with, connected with somebody. And P2B was the chief spokesperson, the master strategist, the campaign officer for the South for Atiku Abubakar. P2B was the one who led Atiku Abubakar into the campaign in 2019. Then from nowhere, in 2027, after Atiku had brought you out to national politics, you are now creating the impression with your toxic followers that Atiku is not qualified to be president. Very, very street urchins.
You are one of them.
I was. Why did I leave? I told you that in 2023, before I even came into the campaign, I had never sat down with P2B to discuss. And I read up about him. I read up about Atiku Abubakar. I wanted somebody from the Southeast to be president. And of course, I campaigned, and I believe we won that election. After winning the election, what happened? He could not see his own victory. And that was when I knew that I had a problem with this person. I spent 240 days about that in the court. I spent almost 2 years campaigning. And after, we believed that we won. And you could not make any sacrifice to secure your own winning. And let me say one thing.
Is that fair to say he did not make any sacrifice?
What
he
did
paid lawyers? He went around saying he won that election. What else do you want him to do?
He went around saying he won that election.
Did he just call them street urchins? Oh dear. See, I'm not harsh. I never call anybody street urchin. Anyway, where do we even begin? I think, someone wrote in the comment section here saying that he's angry because he knows they have lost the elections. I don't even think it's about that, because this is about, it sounded very personal. And I think he's going to give us an idea why he's very passionate about this and why it's sounding personal in the next video I'm going to play. It sounded very personal. I think it's beyond oral elections. It's more about ethnicity. And he said something, by the way, he just threw it in there when he said, I wanted an Igbo man to win. For people who tell the entire country that, everybody else is tribalist, for voting whoever they voted, the truth is coming out now, apparently. He wanted an Igbo man, and he still does want an Igbo man to win, by the way, which is not bad, to be clear. There's nothing wrong with that desire. It's just that you've got to be able to also allow other people to desire what they want, and you don't have to like what you like. You don't have to call them tribalists for doing that. You can't have a situation where in your state, there was a state that gave P2B 94%, another one 92%, another one 83%. Aggregate was about 90%. There is no way you come from that place and become every other person tribalist. But then it didn't stop there. There's another longer version of, there's a continuation I want you to listen to, still on Channels TV, Politics Today with Okonkwo. This is Kenneth Okonkwo. Please take a listen to this.
You are nothing. That is an abomination in Igbo land.
Why is this diatribe against Peter Obi so strong in you? What did Peter Obi do? Is there a personal difference you have with him? Did he offend you?
Thank you for this question. I am telling you that anybody that wants to preside over me as president in Nigeria must be interrogated. I've not even said anything against P2B compared to what I said against the other presidential candidate in 2023. Let me tell you, I have no personal grudges against anybody in my life. I am a man in search of the soul of Nigeria. I am going to get it in my lifetime. A good president will restore this country, will restore the Igbo people, the marginalization of Igbo people will go. And any human being from Igbo land that wants to destroy the destiny of Igbo because of your selfishness, I will come after you and make sure that you don't block Igbo from getting what they should get.
Oh, really? Well, we're going to listen to it, but the best way to actually have this particular section is to talk, in bits. So apparently, this is about Igbo all this while. It's about Igbo also having presidency. That's what it's been all this while. You see, the idea that other people have this love for Nigeria and you are searching for the soul of the country, I don't know what you want to do with the soul. You are a soul searcher. You are looking for the guy is a fantastic performer, but while you're doing all of this thing is because of the soul of Igbo, because you want to have Igbo become president. Is there something wrong with that? No. But what you've been telling everybody, particularly young Yoruba people, is that it's about competence. It's about clinic for Nigeria, soul of Nigeria. You're after my life, structure of criminality. They had all these ridiculous talking points. Which one again? No, I know you're after my life. They're always saying that one. Very retarded talking point. Consumption to production. All these kind of things is about competence. It wasn't about competence, clearly. All this while, it has been about ethnicity. And like I said, more grease to your elbow if that's what you want to do, but please don't come here and be dribbling us. We're going to get into some things with this particular video, so I'll be stopping and responding from time to time. Let's continue. All right, take a listen, please.
Let me also take you to 1999. In 1999, the people of the Southwest, they said it is their turn because of what happened with MKO Abiola. And you know what?
So let's do it this way. I'll have to stop and explain. In 1999, the people of the Southwest did not say it was their turn. You know what? So my echo play, my Jack Egbo, they be Tote Pari, they become. I'll now explain. What is about to do is to have this false comparison that something happened to Yoruba people, it must happen to Igbo people. Let's do it this way. We'll listen to everything, and I'm going to come back and then we'll break it. So that way, all of us will listen to it together. Okay? I think that's the best way. So because you have to understand why I'm stopping it, so it doesn't look very awkward. Let's finish playing it, then I'll come back and play it in bits. Okay?
That you don't block Igbo from getting what they should get. Let me also take you to 1999. In 1999, the people of the Southwest, they said it is their turn because of what happened with MKO Abiola. And you know what? They gave it as a condition that all the political parties must present somebody from the Southwest. Let me ask, if there are no Southwest people in all the political parties, would they be able to achieve that? Olufalaye and Olusegun Obasanjo eventually emerged as the presidential candidate of all the parties that were available. Now, if you come to Igbo land and you're saying it's one person or nothing, so whatever happens to that one person, Igbo will be wiped out for that particular election cycle. In 1999, only Yoruba people contested for the presidency. I am looking forward to a time where only Igbo will contest for the presidency of Nigeria. It has happened before. We are the only people in the South that have not produced the president. They must allow us to produce the president. Let me challenge the APC. If the APC today zones this ticket to Southeast, because when they talk about zoning, it is a way to deny Igbo of what is their own turn. If APC zones this ticket to Southeast, just like Atiku Abubakar said in 2023, Atiku Abubakar said, if you zone this ticket to Southeast PDP, I will not contest. If APC zones it to...
I have to stop it. We're going to listen to the rest, but let's first, I can't wait till the end, man. That's funny. Okonkwo is not by muscle. It's not by showing your tendons and your ligaments and forcing all of us to see how serious you are. Go later, yeah. I can't just right down. Go for a ballet. Let's go back to the beginning of this section where you got it, so I'm going to just talk about some of the things he said. This particular point, Oshei, false. Everything he said about Yoruba people and 1999 elections, apart from the eventual candidates, every other thing he said, na lie. But let me quickly say something. What he's trying to say, and this is the problem with always comparing, like you can't have a conversation without comparing. When you think that way, it will be very difficult for you to actually pass your thoughts across, like, logically. What he's trying to say is that there are certain people who believe it's Obi or nothing. And that it is wrong for them to put all their eggs in one basket. That's all he's trying to say. And he should have just said that and keep it moving. What he's saying basically is that they don't want this thing where Obi is seen as the Messiah, the only one from the Southeast. They want to be able to have multiple messiahs so that they can, they have options essentially. Therefore, when it comes to Igbos having access to the presidency or whatever at the federal level, it's not only one person that they're putting up. They want to be able to have more than one person. That makes sense. How he arrived at that stuff, that's the premise. Everything he used to arrive at that junction was just absolutely unnecessary. So let's get back to some of the things he said. Number one, he said Yoruba people said it was their turn. That's not what happened. There was a group called G34, Group of 34. They were actually the ones who had a gentleman agreement amongst themselves because they were the vanguard of actually restoring Nigeria to democratic ideals. And they were like, you know what? Let's have a situation where we have a Yoruba man because of what happened in 1993. And what happened in 1993, of course, you know that MQ Abiola had won the election and the election was annulled. And so they were trying to make it up to Yoruba people. But here's the crazy part. Even then, they still had primaries in PDP. And guess what? The leader of G34 was one of the people that wanted to become president as well. What was his name? Ekweme. He was an Igbo man. There was Ekweme, there was Douglas, there was Jimmy Wobodo. They also wanted to be president in 1999. And they had primaries in Jos, February 1999. They didn't just say, oh, Yoruba people are the next. They said, Awon is their turn. We're just going to roll over. They gave, what's his name? They gave Obasanjo a run for his money. They contested primaries and he won. I'll find you I got the number. I wrote it somewhere. Yes, Obasanjo secured nomination with 1,658 votes against Ekweme's 521 votes. In other words, even when they had the gentleman agreement that because of what happened in 1993, they should allow a Yoruba man to run on that platform, even then, Nwobodo, Douglas, Ekweme, they still ran for primaries. They still said they wanted to become president. The reason Anibowa did not become president in 1999 was not because they zoned it to Yoruba people. It was because they lost during the primaries. That's why. Let's see Nigeria history. We'll be telling ourselves the truth. Why? So that nobody will gaslight the rest of us. Number two, so that young Igbo people also will not be victims of propaganda and misinformation. Nigeria did not roll over for Yoruba people in 1999. They should have. We'll get to that in a bit. They should have because they promised to. But guess what? It's politics. So there was primary election. Obasanjo won with 1,658 votes. Ekweme, who was one of the leaders of G34, he won with 521 votes. That's why he did not run. It's not because Igbos were so magnanimous. 2 Igbos ran against him during the primaries. It was because they lost. And it's important to be saying this is because they say things like, oh, at the end of the day, it was now Obasanjo versus Falaye. How did Falaye rise? In fact, it wasn't supposed to be Bola. It was supposed to be Bola Ige. It was just internal issues within the AD that eventually led to Olufalaye emerging as a presidential candidate. And then APP then adopted him. So APP and AD worked together to have Olufalaye. But within PDP, they already had their own primary, and the Igbos that wanted to become president, they lost. That's how Obasanjo emerged. We should be telling ourselves the truth. Having said that, whatever they were even attempting to do in 1999 cannot be done to the Igbos. Why? Because they did the same thing for the Igbos in 1979. The war ended January 15, 1970. After about 30 months, right? 2.5 years from July 6, 1967 to January 15, 1970, the Civil War ended. When it was time, when the Civil War ended, we had a military regime, right? That was Gowon, and it was there till 75, having become head of state in August 1966, 1st of August. Now, he was there till 75. The Murtala took over. He was assassinated in 1976, and then Obasanjo took over, and then he wanted to midwife the transition into civilian government. And there was going to be an election in 1979. There were 3 major political parties in 1979. Exactly what he's asking for in 2026 was what Nigeria gave to the Igbos in 1979. What did they do? There was NNPP. There was NPP, Nigeria People's Party. It had a presidential candidate who happened to be Igbo, Nnamdi Azikiwe. There was NPN. That's Shehu Shagari. The vice president was Alex Ekweme. There was UPN. The presidential candidate was Obafemi Awolowo. The vice president was Philip Umiadi. In other words, when you look at the 3 major political parties, the Igbos had either a presidential candidate or a vice presidential candidate in those 3 parties. In NPP, you had Azikiwe. In NPN, you had Ekweme. And in UPN, you had Philip Umiadi. And when Shagari won, Alex Ekweme became the vice president 9 years after the war. A lot of people throw darts at Nigeria and just, say all kinds of rubbish. It's difficult to trust the losing side 9 years after the war with vice presidential slot. Now, you can say it's not as powerful as presidency, but the point is, you had something. If Azikiwe had won, it would have become the president. He just didn't win. I don't say make all of them Igbo, because when you were doing the 1999 stuff, you didn't make everybody Yoruba automatically. There was primary elections, just like your people lost. PDP did not just say Yoruba man. The whole thing is all gentleman agreement at the end of the day. That's why you don't see me crying about it and say, why did Alex Okonkwo run? Why did he run? He's not the one of the leaders, but they made a promise. Why did he run? He ran because he wanted to run, and when he ran and he lost, he went to sit down. And then you had Obasanjo become president, period. Listen, there's no group in this country called Nigeria that can hold Nigeria to hostage with all this blackmail rubbish. Like, oh, something happened to us. Nothing happened to you, Toshe. Even my own people. Oh, they are not the election 1993. They've done it. They've quote unquote paid us back in 99. Whether they now had primary or not, at least we had the president in 99, Yoruba. That's it. Igbos could say, oh, there was a war. You can't use the war again in 2026. There's a video I want to respond to. Somebody sent it to me over the weekend. Sent it to me some days ago. I'm going to respond to that. If we have time, we'll respond to it today. If not, maybe next week. All this nonsense about we are looking for reparations is just rubbish. While I will acknowledge the pains that people went through in the war, I don't owe anybody in this. Nigeria does not owe any ethnic group, including my own. They're not going to blackmail the rest of the country with we went through something. You know what we went through? When all of you left and had also Abiola, we were left alone now to guard our spaces. You know what we went through? Do you see us crying about it every second? I don't understand. Like, you just come around and say, oh, see what they did to me. Because of what they did to me, I must have something. What did they do to you? There was a war. It was sad, terrible stuff. 9 years after the war, you had the vice president. Give me 10 examples in the world where you have such happen. Did they happen in the US with all that Senate climb? The South, the same thing happened. There were, agitations and, people were oil bunkering and fighting and bombing places all across the Niger Delta. So what did the powers that be, what did they do? They said, you know what? Excuse me. Just like we did for the Igbos in 1979, let's also do the same thing for folks in Niger Delta that was in 2007. So what did they do? They chose a man that wasn't he didn't really have electoral value, to be honest. But they wanted to make it up to them. So they chose Goodluck Jonathan. He became vice president. And due to whatever nature had in store, the president, Umar Yar'Adua, he passed on, he died while in office, and then Jonathan became president. So what did Nigeria do? Nigeria settled the East, settled Igbo people in 1979, settled South Niger Delta in 2007, just as you can say they settled Yoruba people in 1999. We don't owe anybody anything anymore. If you want to become president, you throw your hat in the ring. Nobody's zoning anything to any Southeast. Did anybody zone anything to Southwest? No. And by the way, this zoning thing that is happening across political parties, I hope people understand that it's not a constitutional thing. Since everybody's always shouting constitution, constitution, there's nothing in the constitution that says you're going to become president because you're from the South or North. There's nothing like that. It's, as a matter of fact, it's actually something for PDP. In 1999, AD did not have to even think about it because it was a largely regional party, although it had a national outlook, but it was largely regional. And that's why AD conveniently won the 6 states of the Southwest. All right? APP did not say they were going to zone anything because they didn't even bother having primaries, just adopted AD whatever. PDP was the one that had a gentleman stuff of South-North, and no party since 1999 has ever microzoned. It's a broad-based thing, north-south. When you get to the south, whether you're now south-south though, or you decide to do it southeast or southwest, that's among you. Then he said if the APC should zone presidency to the southeast, APC will be stupid to do that now. And I'm not feeling APC, and I'm feeling embarrassed on behalf of APC. Why would they do that? What's the percentage of the votes that APC got in the last election in the southeast? This is what we see. You are giving your brother an LP 90-something% in Labour Party. You are now telling APC to come and do something for you. Say what's happen. PDP is the one that owes Igbo people, not APC. Walai. Because you are the one that has a pact with PDP. You've been voting PDP until you change your mind and did LP. You will have to ask PDP to zone whatever they want to zone to you, not APC. APC owes you nothing. This is politics. The guy just passionate, just shouting, oh, they must give us, they must allow us. Who are they? That's why President Tinubu said, power is not served a la carte. You've got to go there and use also for it and struggle and get it. When you're supposed to be having alliances, you are insulting the rest of us. Somebody came the other day, said all of us were, if I was talking to his family members, she was talking to our family members and maybe as elders, she said, Yoruba people were slaves. The Fulani are there also, those ones were cows, and it's the turn of the Igbos to become the president. Go and become president now. You call everybody slaves and cows. Oh yeah, go and become the president. Now let's see. Nobody's making anybody president because of your tears. The thing is this, right? Number one, the Southeast has never been loyal to APC. Therefore, it would be stupid for APC to zone anything to the Southeast. It's just simple ABC. Kole. So what should they do? Either they begin to move, as a region, you should never put all your eggs in one basket to even begin with. It shows that you are a neophyte. How are you known as a region? I mean, we did it in 1999 and we quickly learned from our lesson. When Obasanjo showed us Pepe, everybody was doing AD in the Southwest back in the day. Obasanjo came with this abacadabra in 2003 and said, you know what, let's adopt, that man was smart, let's adopt myself as the president, then you can have AD governors, but at the federal level, you have a PDP president, and that will be me. Everybody said, yeah, okay. They closed their eyes. By the time they opened, Obasanjo swept the whole Southwest. It's only one state that he could not take. That was Lagos. It's a game. And it's not an ethnic game. That particular game was a political game. It's a party game. And he won. And since then, people are very strategic. That's why I was saying the other day that while, of course, I support the President Tinubu in APC, is going to win by the grace of God next election. I support Obafemi Hamzat in Lagos State as governor. I support Yayi Adeola Solomon in Ogun State as governor. I can't tell you the same thing about your state. I was thinking about it this morning. That your first support him because want it daru. which is beautiful, by the way, just to be clear. Like, it's exciting. Everywhere you look, you see quality material. You see the Accord is having their own. You have APC, although they have to be very careful with what they're doing, though. And then you have Sheyi Makinde just joined another party. By the way, all those people that said that if you had Sheyi Makinde as president, they would have supported him because they are supporting Peter Obi because he's younger than Kini. They should now come and support Sheyi Makinde now. Because Sheyi Makinde is younger than Peter Obi. He's definitely smarter. Okay, and you can see from his result, the guy did well in Oyo State. So they should all go and vote for. Sheyi wants to become president. I know he's not going to win because obviously I want Tinubu to win. But I just like the politics, right? So you can't just say, I personally, I can't say APC in Oyo State or APC in Osun State. I don't know yet. It's very clear in Lagos. It's very clear in Ogun, but it's not very clear to me. What I'm trying to tell you is how sophisticated the people can get such that they're not too predictable. If you as a region, not as a state now, as a region, decide to pack all your eggs and be putting it in PDP baskets since 1999, not get 2026, you are now issuing notice to the APC saying that they should zone presidency. How? Where? Why? When? I can assure you, all things being equal, because anything can change, it's politics after all, but all things being equal, 2031, you're going to have a Northerner become president, and it'll be there in 2039. And I can assure you, all things being equal again, Tipa Mafima Padas is south. It's either going to be south, south, or southwest. How do I know that? See the way people are playing the game now. See what south people are. Do you think? Are you not noticing how interesting the game is in the south? Why do you think they all moved to APC? And even then, some of them can be counted on to go to other parties. People in South are the political class, they are playing that game. I'm sure when it's time to move, maybe they will also port the same way they ported. Again, I'm not saying this is the perfect system that Nigeria should be having at this point. But again, we're evolving, right? Our parties are not ideologically driven, which is sad. So you can just port anytime. But nobody can insult anybody for that. Particularly if you're obedient. You can't say people are traveling from one party to another because your Lord and Savior is having the testimony of Reuben, unstable, just moving everywhere. So you can't even call anybody unstable. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that the way the South is positioning, the way the region is positioning itself, or the way the political class there are positioning that region, they're going to have what it takes to negotiate. It's about that word, negotiation. But from the 2039, they will have the capacity to negotiate for power. And that's why I said it's either them or the Southwest. They are properly positioned to negotiate. And they will get it. And if they don't get it, the Yorubas will get it again. And then he said that Igbos are the only ones who have not produced president in the South. How now? When was the last time you saw an BBO president? There's no BBO president. There's no ethnic president. The assumption that there are only two ethnic groups in the South is insulting to the many other ethnic groups in the South. There's no Isoko president, no Edo president. We've not had a Bini president or an Esako president, no Isha president. We don't have any Isoko Urobo president. Are they not in the South? The Ijo that we had, did we get Ijo presidency because of tantrums, throwing tantrums all over the place? And in the North, do you have a Hausa president? Who is the Hausa president you've had? At least you have a run to say he was there for 6 months. You had the Governor General who was there since 1959 till 1966. Azikiwe. How many did you get from Hausa land? The assumption that is Yoruba Igbo is a lie, or is even disrespect. That's another thing. You've got to respect people now. When you talk with this thing of you are the is entitlement. The Ijo man can actually allow you have his. You know, people can let you have what belongs to them if you know how to treat them properly. They'll just go around throwing your weight all over the place, telling you then that it's your turn when you don't have anything to negotiate with, because 90% of your people have voted for Peter Obi. Why would I? Let's assume I'm an APC. Why on earth am I going to zone anything to the southeast? You are thinking, just give us a man. I'm thinking, is it going to win? Because political parties want to win. They're going to spend money. What's the return on investment? ROI is that they win the election. What's the assurance they're going to win in the southeast? It's almost zero. Well, maybe 10%. I don't know if people are going to spend all that money for 10% or 8%. Last election, Kini APC in the southeast, last election, showed to 5%. Sha. I don't think APC got up to 5, maybe 5 or I'm sure it's less than 10. Keep playing that game. By the time you are done, you guys will wake up and discover that you are playing a very, very wrong game. So just to cap it up, number one, there was no time that Yoruba people said in 1999 that it was their turn. As a matter of fact, it was a group called G34 that came up with a gentleman agreement, which was brilliant, that Yoruba should be allowed to be president because of what happened in 1993 with the annulment of MQ and Abiola's election results, which is fair. However, when it was time to actually allow a Yoruba man to run, the Igbos within the PDP said they also wanted to run. So they had a primary, and Olusegun Obasanjo won the primary. If you want to run, you to go and do primary. Your Lord and Savior doesn't even want to do primaries. He's always running away from, as if he didn't go to primary school. I don't know. Anyway, Obasanjo won with Makuku Wansi Mari, for instance. No. Obasanjo won that primary with 1,658 votes against Ekweme's 521 votes. So he won the primaries. It did not become PDP candidate because he was a Yoruba man. He became PDP candidate because he won that primary. So you to go and run your primary elections. That's one. Number two, whatever you think you are asking Nigerians for Igbo in 2026 was already done for your fathers in 1979 as a way to bring them back into the fold and give them a sense of belonging after the war. If in your history they omitted all those things and just focus on victimhood, and you're not crying in 2026, you will cry for a very long time because nobody will be moved. And it's not because they are not compassionate, it's because they have discovered that you want to blackmail them with this victim nonsense. So if you are looking for presidency and say, come and give it to us, or not, nobody. We did this in 79. Think about it, by the way. The vice president to Zik was a Christian, Christian ticket. In fact, maybe we should have the conversation about that 79 election. UPN had a Christian ticket. Aula was a Christian. Philip Umeadi was a Christian. Zik had a Christian ticket. The vice president, what's his name? I'll remember his name. He was also a Christian. The crazy part, though, is that Awolowo reached out to Zik in 1979 so they would have an alliance. And just like he did in 1959, he betrayed Awo. People don't talk about it enough. We should be talking about these things. If you read this book, I think it's here. There's an image here. There's an image here where they were having the meeting where they were going to work together. Oh boy, you guys, your elders are blessed in Jesus' name. Let's not say anything negative. Okay, if I find you that picture, I'll show you. It's inside this book. The book is called Awo, Unfinished Greatness. It's by Olufemi Ogunsanwo. I think it's available on Redomi Books on Telegram. I want to show you that picture. I hope I find it. They were together at 79 elections. Before Zik went to do exactly what Zik did in 59, he ran back to, this is the picture. Bookmark me this up, Jabo. Let me show you the picture. This one. Zik agrees to collaborate with Awo for the second round of the 1979 presidential election at a press conference in Lagos, the first collaboration since the 1951 election. 51 election is talking about the Western Region Parliament election. Thank you, my battlefield, sir. Thank you, sir. Ishaya Audu, that was Zeke's vice presidential candidate in 1979. He was also a Christian. It was after that it was said that it was a beautiful bride. Yes, Madam Osun, that was a beautiful bride. Everybody wanted him. I mean, recall, let me talk like Kenneth Okonkwo. Recall that Zeke himself had retired before that election, and then he was wooed by folks in NPP, right? Because the chairman wanted to be the presidential candidate, and they weren't very happy with that arrangement. So they went to get Zeke. And of course, Zeke wanted to also get involved in the next dispensation, contrary to what he had said, that he had retired. And of course, it was going to help the Igbos also have a foothold, so to speak, in Nigerian political landscape since the war. So it made sense for him to run. Well, they ran. They were going to have collaboration and coalition. It never worked out. The details we'll talk about it some other time. But the point I'm trying to make is that election had a Christian ticket from UPN, a Christian ticket from NPP. And nobody was shouting Christian. So when people come around now and say Muslim ticket, Tinubu and Kenneth, so what? And let me say this, but if you're a Christian from the southwest, Ejamaru no. If they tell you that, I know I'm talking about many things, but stay with me. If they tell you that you can't have a Muslim ticket, what you are saying invariably, seeing the way Nigeria is structured as it is right now, what you're saying is that a Yoruba Toje Muslim will never become president of Nigeria. Because the North is structured along religious lines. We are not, as Yoruba people. Meanwhile, since Tinubu now became head of state, how many of you has he sent to Mecca to Islamize you? In the North, you can't really have a Christian ticket, right? A Northerner who is a Christian to win elections the way they are structured right now. Is it right? That's not the point. It's just the reality. If you join a political party, your goal in life is not to go and be making any points. Your goal in life is to win. Tinubu wants to win. If he wants to win, he's going to get somebody that will help him win. Not all these tiers of Christian, Muslim. When they were doing Christian tickets, they said they were going to Christianize Nigeria. All of that to say this. Whatever the Igbos are looking for in 2026 was given to them in 1979. And they should go back in the past to find it. That's stuff about the war. If we have time, we'll get to it. But let's finish listening to Kenneth Okonkwo. It's been funny so far, but I understand the passion. But I'll say this, that what he started with, in terms of the premise that Igbos should not have only one person, and that the idea of it's Igbo, it's Peter Obi or nothing, it's detrimental to them. I agree with that. But I'm not going to agree with anybody blackmailing me because they went through something. That is not my, I don't owe you anything on that. May God bless all of us. Let's listen to him. This Kenneth Okonkwo. Let's continue listening. Thank you.
Test. If APC zones it to southeast, I will tell ADC to zone it immediately to ticket to southeast. Because when they talk about zoning, it is a way to deny Ndibo of what is their own turn.
Guys, I'm sorry. What do you mean zoning is a way to deny Indigo of what the Kiniko? It's a bit, you're not involved in APC now. Sorry, I just found it very funny and I had to say something. I apologize. Let's continue, I beg.
If APC zones this ticket to southeast, just like Atiku Abubakar said in 2023, Atiku Abubakar said, if you zone this ticket to southeast PDP, I will not contest. If APC zones it to southeast, I will tell ADC to zone it immediately to southeast. And if they don't, I'll campaign for APC. Take my word for it.
So you are basically an ethnic-oriented person.
Thank you for that question.
He just wanted your man from your clan,
yes,
for an Igbo man to be president. That's your grouse.
Thank you very much for that question. Because if you vote for Tinubu again in 2023, the Southwest will have it for 16 years. And they've had vice president for 8 years. And Ndibo has not had it at all. No vice president, no president. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has something to do with justice. And I am telling you that the only reason I'm saying there should be alignment is exactly what Tinubu did. Tinubu did not recognize that Jonathan has not done 8 years. He aligned with the North and defeated Jonathan so that he could create the avenue for him to come back and become president. That is what I am doing. I am going to make all the necessary alignment to make sure that somebody from the Southeast becomes president or vice in 2027 and become president thereafter. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. I fought for Yaradua. When Yaradua died, I wrote an article why Jonathan should not run in 2011 for the North to complete their 8 years. Nobody heard me. The article is there. It was published in Sun. It was published in Lawmaker.
That's him, Jonathan.
Jonathan should be allowed to finish his 8 years so that you don't correct a mistake with another mistake. They did not listen to me. They cut off Goodluck Jonathan's time. And now Tinubu is coming. And you're telling me 8-year arrangement is unacceptable to me.
If an ethnic group has produced 2 presidents in 1999 and 1 vice president, don't you think you should listen to them and ask them, or at least go to them and ask them, how are you doing it? Because you have to realize that if they did not shout like you're doing and they got what you claim they have, what makes you think that what you're doing right now will get you what you desire? Clearly, this path that you're taking, which folks before you have also taken, leads to nowhere. It leads to nowhere. So you can cry from now till thy kingdom come. You say under Yoruba president. And it's not because Yoruba, it's because, I don't want to toot any horn, but here's the point. There is a way these things are done. It's not by cursing people out. By the way, to be fair, he didn't curse anybody out, but the majority of people curse people out on social media, assuming that when they curse you enough, you now want to remove the curse by giving them what they want, which is absolutely ridiculous. But here's the point. I don't think I'm going to get a vice presidential candidate this way. I don't know anybody that's just going to say, okay, because they are angry, let's give them vice president. It doesn't mean anything. And here's the thing, and this is actually, I say this with all sense of, respect. I'm not trying to downplay any ethnic group, but there's something that we have noticed since 2015. This is 2026. Since 2015, we've had 3 electoral cycles. We had Buhari's first term, 2015, Buhari's second term, 2019, and then President Tinubu's first term, 2023. And in these 3 electoral cycles, we've discovered that you don't need the Southeast to win. It's not something to say, to gloat. I'm not gloating over it. It's just the reality of Nigerian political landscape. You don't need the Southeast to win. It's a very chilling, how do you put it? Like, it should humble people. If your region doesn't have to be taken in order for a person to become president, what does that tell you about your capacity for negotiation? You don't have it. Do these people not sit down and think about this thing? I mean, Buhari won twice. And he lost in your region, but he won. This president, Tinubu, became president and he lost in your region. You have nothing to negotiate with. That's what it means. And again, I'm not gloating. I'm not saying that, it is what it is. I'm not saying that somebody is bad or religion or one region is kiniko. Everybody is necessary and useful and everything. But if people have tried over and over again, thank you for the gift. If people have tried over and over again and they've won without you, you can't be shouting to get them to work with you. That's the point. And I hope I'm communicating it with enough respect, because that's my intention. I'm not trying to reduce anybody's but it's the truth. How people learn, because if, someone says the numbers are dispersed. That thing you just said right now was what Kanayo was saying the other election. They would do it all over Nigeria. There's a scripture. Don't think of yourself too more highly than you should. Don't assume that you have this network. You're not selling stuff. You're trying to vote. You moved over 200,000 voters card into Lagos last election. Churches, there were certain churches that INEC officials were camped there to be registering people. Until folks in that place now had to call the Nigerian police to dismantle whatever it is they were doing. They looked like a racket, to be honest. All this kidney of I can connect myself, you cannot do it. And here's the humbling thing about Nigerian political system. Even if you are the majority in this country, you cannot win on your own. You can't. Peter Obi had 6 million votes last election. How many did Buhari have in 2003? 12 million. He did not win the election. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the spread. You've got to have 2/3 majority in 2/3 of the states in Nigeria. It's not just about your local government or your local region or whatever. You've got to have that spread. Why do you think I love Tinubu? That man, it will work, but even if it doesn't work, there are people that are strategically positioned. I mean, 30 years is not kekere. You have people in different parts of the country to make sure that things work for you. Not just be shouting, when he's telling you Emilokon, by the way, the Emilokon thing that people are always referring to, it wasn't to Nigeria. I was saying that to APC members in Ogun State because of the primary elections, which is quite interesting that a person who midwifed the formation of APC, having brought in his own political machinery in ACN, that one who helped Buhari win, what Buhari could not do since 2003. Buhari tried 3 times. He was having 12 million votes, so he was having lots of votes, but he never won until he worked with Tinubu. But even then, when it was time for Tinubu to become president, he was subjected to primary elections. That's the thing that your own Lord and Savior is running away from. Even the one who midwifed the whole party, who had his own structure, been building for over 30 years, he still had to go through primary, and they did everything to frustrate him, and he still won. That's the one you want to come and cry and say is our turn. We too want to get something. To that kind of person, you are joking. I hope everybody is fine, Shah. But to be honest, people can do it without your region, and it's not a very good thing. Make of that what you will. May God give all of us understanding. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening to that. That was Igbo Presidency, Kenneth Okonkwo exposes Peter Obi. And we say a lot of things. I mean, those who need the advice should take it. But for the rest of us, I think it's not so much advice, especially if you're not Igbo. It's more like it should drive us to seek knowledge. Okay, of course, there are so many other things that weren't mentioned in the video. But I hope that these sessions we're having will spur us to study to know what's up. And the primary reason, like I say, is you need information to be able to build a nation like Nigeria, or a country like Nigeria, I should say. I mean, it was the same thing philosophers in Greece said back in the day. You can't have democracy, a successful one, without an educated populace. If your citizenry is ignorant, you will just be joking with the concept of democracy. And I think that we Nigerians need to learn more, understand how government work, and also understand, our history, so people will not, just be saying all kinds of things. Number 2, we also need to protect ourselves from blackmailers and manipulators. There are people who intentionally rewrite Nigeria's history in order to cast a particular group in a particular light. And the idea basically is to guilt trip the rest of the country. And I'll say this to you, it's a very, very potent weapon. It has worked. I have documented history that has been working since the 1940s. Maybe it happened before then, I don't know. But the one that's written, we have documented history from the 1940s up until today. People can easily guilt trip you and it's what you do when you have nothing else to do, knowing that you have nothing else to bargain with. You make the other people feel like they're demons so that you are now the object of pity. And it's not just Nigerians, it's humans. People like the underdog. People big often your journey. Oh, this person is being treated shabbily. They're doing something to this person because of kiniko. So what can I do to help make up to the person? Now, here's the thing that young people must understand. You are not helping anybody. Well, from your own perspective, you are helping, you're being compassionate, but in reality, you are a tool in the hand of a person who understands how to use you. And the reason you are easily used is because, for the most part, many of us are naive. And we are like that because of the work of our forebears. See, all of us in Nigeria, right? We are the way we are, whether you like it or not. We are the way we are because of our forebears. And in the Nigerian context, we are the way we are because of the political leaders that led our people or our regions in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. That's how we are exactly. We are the product of those people. You may not have known them. The way we speak, the ideas we espouse in our regions, they're literally the expressions of the political leaders in our regions in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. That is a fact. When you see a group always shouting, and I said this last week, when you see a group always shouting education, we have to go to school, everybody's thinking educational, even if you don't have a lot, you just want to, and I said it last time, that most of us here must have heard your parents or somebody close to you for Yoruba say something like, I may not give you anything else, but the heritage that will not decay is education. Thankfully, they usually give us something else. But the point is that they always tell you that thing, like education is the thing that they want to give because it's a primary thing. That is a product of our Lord's philosophy. Again, our region is not perfect. Let me just make that clear because it's important to be saying this. It doesn't look as if we are saying that, oh, there's this El Dorado somewhere in Nigeria where that person is forest. No, there's no perfect region. But it's one thing to be a growing region. It's another thing to be a complaining region. So no, we're not perfect, but we are growing. In other words, we can challenge ourselves. We can look at our governors right now and look at what they're doing and we have something to compare them with, which is not good in some ways. It's not good because it's not good because we should have been able to surpass that period, right? The success of that period. But it's good because at least you know that the bar is not low. It's that high. So to trip me and make me feel like you're doing something, you got to find a way to actually reach that particular, you get what I'm saying? Those who are always spreading victimhood as well, sincerely, and I say this again with all sense of duty and responsibility and with all respect I can muster, that they are not the script that was written by their leaders in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. A fact. When you talk to an average Yoruba politically conscious person, they talk about restructuring. They'll just be talking about restructuring. Let's go back to regional system. Even if they don't get the entire idea of what they're talking about, because we are all learning apparently. But there's always something about the regional system, the restructured Nigeria, the kind of that they're always talking about, and that's why look at it. It took Tinubu to give us development commissions across the regions. It's not the ultimate goal, but it tells you the mindset where it's coming from. That's the political ideology. And listen, no matter what we say, we are all product of our forebears. In the South is what you hear in Koto, the loudest thing from that place is what you did to me. And you think is the war. It's not the war. It's something that happened 1947, South Richards, January 1947, the former Governor General of Nigeria, he said that the Igbos contributed the least. The Eastern region, the Igbos specifically contributed the least in the form of taxes in Nigeria. They contributed the least, but they clamored for more and more of everything. It's a strategy. I said all of this strangely to tell you that if you're a Yoruba person And as soon as you see somebody shed some tears, you're like, they've hurt this person. I've got to help. You are not anybody's Messiah. You are not anybody's savior. You are being used because you're naive. Be compassionate, but be knowledgeable. My compassion says, hey, that happened to you. Sorry about that. How can I help? My knowledge will tell me when to draw the line. Once I notice that you want to use me for your own agenda. All of that to say that if you listen to this man, we all listen to him, Kenneth Okonkwo. Apparently, all this while, with our Yoruba people, especially the young ones, just insulting everybody and saying, no, you don't understand politics, as though they knew it from their womb, from their mother's womb. Oh, we're going to clinical obedience. It wasn't about Nigeria, it was about an Igbo presidency. Clearly. Is it wrong? I don't think so. So this is the funny thing about me. I don't think it is wrong to want an Igbo presidency. But I hate hypocrisy in my life. You cannot want an Igbo presidency and be calling everybody tribalist. And tell young Yoruba people that you are doing it because of competence. And those ones insulted their elders, saying that because they want competence and all kind of rubbish, they went to vote for P2B, only to turn out to discover that you guys just wanted to have an Igbo president. I mean, about 90% of the votes in your region went to P2B, not because it was anything cool, because if we divide this country into regions today, P2B will never become the premier of the Southeast. I'm saying it. Though Igbos will never make him the premier of that region. But the point is, they wanted an Igbo presidency, and like I said, it's not wrong. See, people vote for different reasons. They push candidates for different reasons. And I remember saying this in 2022 during the election. They'll just come around, just a bunch of buffoons, come around and say, there was a platform then, there was a young man, who was a Yoruba person, so they asked him who was he voting for. I think at the time too, we knew what we knew, but we're a bit calmer than we are now. And they were like, who do you want to vote for? The guy said Tinubu. They just went into a rage, like, how can you? You're a tribalist. You want to vote for Tinubu? Your name is, I think his name is maybe Bayo or something like that. So I called one of them. I said, who do you want to vote for, Emeka? He said, P2B. There was a time where I was a bit, I'm still calm, but I was more calm. So I said, do you not think it is better for Femi to tell Bayo what he just told him? You are an Igbo person supporting P2B, and you're calling the Yoruba person supporting Tinubu a tribalist. Don't you think it makes more sense for Femi, a Yoruba man who is supporting P2B, to tell Bayo that he should not support Tinubu just because he's Yoruba? And you know the funny thing, majority of the young people that supported Tinubu was not because he was Yoruba. I mean, things are changing now. I saw people on social media say things like, if you ask me why am I supporting Tinubu, they will just say it's because he's Yoruba, period. And you can't ask them any further question, and you should not. Because clearly, it's not like you're thinking better than anybody anyway. But in reality, I would have Tinubu over anybody, to be fair, because I mean, Ojumontoyonu now. Look at the people coming out to vote against, to compete. Look at them. I mean, they are good in their own kinyobo. And I've said several times, any reason I like him is because, number one, he thinks structurally. Many people are always going after the ephemerals. Oh, I will give you this, I will give you that. How? How do you want to engineer this? Maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll talk about what happened in Senegal, where the young man became president, and everybody was shouting. They didn't let us rest on this Twitter. Oh, we must go and copy Senegal. Obi and his minions used as, what did Peter call what did Kenneth Okonkwo call? They call them urchins. I don't want to call them urchins. I just call them minions. Or like Shoyinka, myrmidons. Anyway, all the examples, the countries themselves you go and copy, all of them are having troubles now. They're just having, freebies in Senegal. What's this thing? Subsidies, all kinds of subsidies. Now the country has tanked. over 130% GDP to debt ratio, whatever. Listen, all I'm doing with this thing is just to tell you, Nigerians, but especially young Yoruba people, don't let people use you. See, you can decide to vote for anybody you like. If you notice, I'm not saying you should vote for Tinubu. I want Tinubu to win. Clearly, I'm not one of those people that will tell you that. I'm not partisan in that sense. I am partisan in the sense that I want Tinubu to win. I may not talk about all the governors. So, although I want the governor, I want Obafemi Hamzat to become the governor of Lagos. I want Yaya Adeola to become governor of Ogun State. I've still not made up my mind about Oyo State yet, but those are the things I know for now, and I want Tinubu to be president. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just, what a nonsense they say. It's not make them feel as if, make you feel as if the person that is talking is actually thinking straight. Like, I don't really support anybody. I support Tinubu, but you don't have to support Tinubu. You should, by the way, but you have a right not to. But here's the point: if you are going to support anybody else, at least let that be a decision you are making based on knowledge. Not all this stupid head mentality of everybody is going this way, I'm going that way. Why? You don't know. Apart from insulting people, you have joined a group of people who have no ability to actually enunciate their own thoughts. Apart from just insulting people and say, we must have Obi. What did you do? Who is he? Give them hero beer. Is that all that we need to build? How many breweries do you want to open in Nigeria to your law? Anyway, if you're a young person, please. By the way, let me also make it look as if I'm talking to there are people in their 50s and 40s supporting Peter Obi. See, some people, the reason they don't want Tinubu is Anju won se wilejo Ijalara Otanboro. Ilara ló pọ̀ jù nù wọn. Because the bank can so báyìí kò sọ̀rọ̀ gidi kankan tó fẹ́ sọ. Anyone so gbara náà ni. Tinubu is the president come next election by the grace of God. Again, it's all in the hands of God. All I'm saying is what has happened should not happen again. Don't let people weaponize your empathy because they play this game of, oh, we are the underdogs, we are the victims, and you're like, oh, okay, so what can I do for you? And we just give you my vote. I hate my brother because I have to prove, which is another problem Yoruba people have. We want to prove to people that we are good. Listen, if you don't believe I am good, I don't care. I'll do my best to help anybody I can help, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of who you are. But if you're expecting me to prove that I am good to you, you'll be there for thousands of years. You will grow old, your children will come up, nothing will happen. You can't be proving like you're good. Why are you proving anything? By the way, we have a video coming out later this week. The one about the war is coming out later this week. They just say that I will do something. You should now be like, hey, yeah, sorry, I'm going to vote for your Guinea. No. Allah did not do nothing to hurt anybody. Was he perfect? No. Nobody's father was perfect. But was he heads and shoulders above all his peers? 1,000%. And nobody's going to, blackmail the rest of us by saying, go back in your history and go and help us today to make up for what your fathers did. My fathers helped everybody. My fathers did the best they could. Their own fathers didn't even do half of it. Half of our. They didn't even do a tenth of it. If you're Nigerian or you're Yoruba, listen, Nigeria doesn't even owe me. I'm a Yoruba person. You don't owe me anything. Nobody owes anybody in this country. If you want to become president, throw out in the ring, fight it out. Nobody's going to say, can you come and become president? Because who you help? Well, I'll read some comment section. Some comments in the comment section that will bring people up. Let's start with Facebook and YouTube. So this is Aketunde Abraham on Facebook. He says, Igbos always write history to suit their narratives. They are born... Let me leave that part. They tell lies to their children so as to create perpetual hatred culture in themselves and their offspring. To be honest, it's a product of... God, I thank you. God, I thank you. Tó bá jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá o, mọ̀ nǹkan t'Ọlọ́run ṣe fún ẹ o. Kò pé tán o. Mo mọ̀ sọ nǹkan tí mo sọ Yorùbá ni o. Kí ni kó bẹ́ẹ̀ ní gbogbo ẹ̀ tán o. Ó kù sí àwọn ibì kan o. Ṣùgbọ́n mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run. Mo mọ̀re o, mo mọ̀re. Ebi o bá mi dé lónìí o, àánú. Have you guys heard that song? By the way, I drove yesterday. My family and I went somewhere. I played that song, I think 2 or 3, maybe 3 times. About 23 minutes. Beautiful song. You can listen to it. In Kalashiriori, Momore. Shameless plug. Anyway, I said that to say that Tobaja Yoba, oh, Morio, what of Morio long? My Jawara Moreje. There's something to be grateful for. It's that when people were, when God was distributing stuff, by the way, if you don't understand Yoruba, what I'm saying right now sincerely is for Yoruba people. If I say it, it's going to sound somehow in English. There are many things that we haven't gotten right, but that I was born Yoruba is something to be thankful for. There's some burdens you should not bear, especially when it's psychological. There's some things your parents give you. It may not be money, it may not be a house, it may not be property. Just that there's a particular mindset that you have that you can walk the earth and know that, oh, kere no aye. It's a blessing. And I said that to say that, and I had to say that because what I was about to say would have sounded bad if I said it about another group. But you see, if you raise your children, and I'm going back to the comment here, if you raise your children on a diet of falsehood and propaganda, you are not hurting anybody. Listen, it's better to be naive than to be a victim. See, I'm saying that a lot of us are naive. It's okay. It's not okay, but it's still better than being a victim. You see, if you're naive, hopefully at some point you will learn. If a victim usually pays you. Once you use it, you get results. So you assume since it's working, why should you, if it's not broken, why should you fix it? But here's the problem. You are dying. When we have conversations, you think you're a second-class citizen. You can't really walk tall. All this gra of I'm better than you, you are trying to make up for inferiority complex. When people go around just lying, rewriting history, you hear things. And you know what? I used to be angry when young people say these things on social media. I don't really get angry anymore about it. Even when I say anger, I'm not saying I'm throwing tantrums. I'm just like, you just say something like, how? But now, I don't really feel that way anymore. Why? Because I've been exposed to elders from Igbo land. It's a shame. And I'm saying it not because of their history, that's their business, but as far as Nigerian history is concerned, Igbo elders have done a very shameful thing. What they have done is to successfully raise a new generation of victims. But you know what? If that's their legacy, that's okay. If you're a Yoruba person, just make sure that victimhood doesn't cost you anything. It must not cost you anything, no. Because I cannot help another group. I can't go and be telling you that. Stop being a victim. If it works for you, continue until you discover that it's not going to work. But me, if you're a Yoruba person, it ain't going to work. So if you're Yoruba, please understand what happened. Love everybody. I like to say that. Show compassion, help, but know where to draw the line. Tibo Obatin Koja Gumpa committing 1 year. So you know that this person is going beyond. They're trying to use your head, you to use your own head. Thank you very much for that comment, Mr. Ake, today on Facebook. Let's go to Tim Money says Obi can't win presidential election on YouTube. No, he can't, and he will not, by the grace of God. By the way, I have by the grace of God because you know how it is. Inshallah. I can say on Facebook says Igbos cannot blackmail us into forced vote. They need to work for it. When they eventually come around, I hope they will support people like Charles Soludo. If you notice, he's in APGA. That tells you I'm not an APC person. APGA is doing a good work. In terms of let me just no, I'm not going there. Soludo is doing a good job, and I think that people like him, people like Dave Umai, they are Igbos. Okay, and hopefully the region will listen to people like that. Umai is in APC, Soludo is in PDP. Is in APGA, and I know there are other governors and other leaders. I'm just mentioning those two specifically, and I'm doing that intentionally. It's not about party. There's a mindset that can make you lead. A victim cannot lead anybody. That's why I don't see any sense when a Yoruba person comes to me and says that they're supporting P2B. I'm like, what did you hear from this person that made you that's making you support this person? You listen to people and just feel depressed. It's about what they are doing to him, what somebody is trying to do to him, what they cannot get done, what Nigeria is not doing well. It's just depressing. There's no hope. There's nothing to live for. There's nothing to even wish to get. Everything is just blur. Everything just there. So, and then like, hey, I want to support it. How can you support an uninspiring person? See, as much as I can, I want you people to understand that fact that what happened in last election, you were angry. You were angry. You were angry about NSAS. You were angry about what Buhari did. You were angry about everybody, and you just decided to pour it out on Tinubu. That's okay. This is 2027. Let your anger not make you to go and follow something you don't even understand. You can't even explain it to people. And sit down for a second and think about it. If the time is coming, even today, okay? I'll bring people up. If you're on YouTube or on Facebook, send me a message on Telegram, Busuri Oris. I'll call you. If you really, I want you to explain, like, no, you don't have to explain anything to me, but just have a conversation, because I've not seen a sane. You can't really get them to talk like sane people. Just any small thing, they're just insulting everybody. Nigeria is bad. Nigeria is crazy. Nigeria is this. Nothing good has come out of Tinubu. Everything is just bad. Everything is just bad. How does that help? How does that make me support you? What's the solution? China went to China. T-Money says Tinubu does not need Southeast to win presidential election. Sadly, but that's the truth. Arido Inloyi on Facebook. Peter Obi would have been an excellent president for many Igbos. His level of articulation is exactly what Jesus is Lord. Okay, I'm going to have to take a deep breath. So this is Oyinloyi on Facebook. I'm reading the comments now. Peter Obi would have been an excellent president for many Igbos. His level of articulation is exactly what they connect with. The way he reasons and frames his words resonates with how a large segment of the Igbo audience thinks. For that audience, anything deeper would feel like, oh, who are you? Who is this person? I'm not bro. That's the one to read this thing. This thing is very... Okay, let me just... For that audience, anything deeper would feel like overreaching. But when you ask him a question that requires concrete foreknowledge or a direct policy stance, he often deflects with a story or an analogy. When you hear my good friend Ruben, Lamba and Bonnie, he often deflects with a story or an analogy. The actual relevance to the question isn't always his priority. You listen, you take it in, and you're left wondering whether he heard you correctly or if the question itself needed to be rephrased. There's an occasion when an interviewer presented the same question 3 times, asking for a definitive yes or no. Peter answered yes and no. That's actually true. I have the video somewhere, and if we have time, I'll look for it and play it. And it was with he said yes and no. I was questioning about subsidy. At that point, you have to either dumb down your next question or wrap up the interview altogether. Why bother pressing further, you ask yourself. The impression you get is of someone who got dressed, traveled to the studio, and hoped to hoodwink his way through the interview, or of someone who simply couldn't be bothered to engage with the specifics. Yet, to the average Igbo supporter, he is serious hero material. They will dismiss other Igbos who are too grounded, too literal, and too rational in their reasoning. To them, Peter Obi embodies the urchin-turned-millionaire they've always dreamed of. The sudden, almost miraculous rise to wealth gives the story an almost mythical weight. But put a sharp, relatable Igbo man in front of them, someone who speaks the language without pretense and thinks clearly, and he immediately becomes a problem. Anyone too concise, reflective, or even considerate gets branded a sabo. Peter Obi is exactly what they prayed for, and they got him. We didn't join in that prayer. Wow. Wow. That was a good write-up. That was Oyinloye on Facebook. That was a fantastic write-up. And I like how you actually acknowledge also that there are great Igbo people, politicians. I've listened to some of them. I don't agree with everything they say, but that doesn't mean I cannot acknowledge their brilliance. And I mentioned two earlier, Soludo and Umai. You know, I've said this before, a while back, many years ago actually, there was a time when Rochas Okorocha was the man, was the one everybody was talking about when it comes to the Southeast, politics of the Southeast. And we're having a conversation, it was in Wusetu, in Abuja, and I was talking to some people guys, I was like, why don't you guys support Okorocha? Like, no, it's Okoro Hausa, it's Okoro Hausa. I was like, is there something wrong with you guys supporting somebody, an Igbo man that the country likes? Right? Like beyond your region. And somebody that, you know, is able to actually articulate their thoughts. And at that point, it was the man. It was the governor of Imo State and all of that. But the point I'm trying to make essentially is, I understand Kingsley Okonkwo's pain to the point where it looks like there's only one Messiah in Igbo land. I acknowledge that pain and I get where it's coming from. But he has to find the right solution to their problem, not by asking Nigeria to vote only Igbos. But in reality, there are good Igbo politicians, and I hope the day comes when they're able to take that stage. But being a good politician is not enough. You have to have a structure behind you, right? Whether that structure is now homegrown or you found a way to get it from another region is entirely up to you. But you need something more than my people support me. Because he mentioned 1999, that was Kenneth Okonkwo. The Southwest did not support Obasanjo, but he had the support of the establishment. Even the person the Southwest supported, Olufalaye, they still had to build alliances. There's an alliance that was built with APP. Ogboyan Ono had won the presidential primary in APP. By the way, just to tell you that people threw their hats in the ring. Ogboyan Ono had won, and then of course they had a conversation that they were going to work with AD so that they can have, you know, an APP candidate. So they can have Olufalaye as a consensus candidate. The point I'm trying to make is that even though AD had a very strong foothold in the Southwest, that was not enough. They had to find a way to reach across the aisle. Although they lost, but there's a lesson in there. If after working with other groups you lost, what do you think would happen if you're on your own? So what it means basically is that you keep looking for others and just have that network to be able to win, which is exactly what happened in 2015 with Buhari. How people learn. But thank you very much for that brilliant. I'm going to clap for you one more time. Thank you for that brilliant submission, Oyinloye. And I don't want to explain what you really said because I don't think it's necessary for me to explain. Hopefully people got the point. Thank you. Axel Abraham on Facebook says, Obi was not the only Igbo on the ballot in 2023. AD candidate too was an Igbo man. I think he was responding to what Kenneth Okonkwo said, that Obi was the only candidate. I guess what he was saying was I was the most popular, and I mean, there's really nothing you can do about that. But thank you for that. Responded to Akintele says, Peter Obi would have been an excellent president for many. Okay, I think it's the same thing. And of course, we have some clowns in the comment section who are talking about, you know, the unfortunate situation in Oyo State and using that as a way to make a point. Like I said last time, it takes a really retarded person to find a way to use people's misfortune. By the way, you notice, let me finish that thought, to use people's misfortune as banter, yeah, when we're discussing stuff. In other words, once you lose the plot or you lose the argument, the next thing is, I see what they are doing to your people in the bush. You are a retard. Okay. I won't mention you because you're not that important. Okay, there's some other comments I'm seeing here, so I'm going to try and see how we can filter it. So let me read this one. This is from Ayodele Yola on Facebook. The opening is very harsh. Let's start here. Germans have been held responsible for 2 world wars and have been forced to pay massively as reparation. To pay massive reparations, I think that's what you mean. And in addition, divided into 2 nations, and yet they are not playing victims and are part of NATO with UK and USA. At the Oputa panel, the Igbos brought a petition for reparations on behalf of their people, just like the Yorubas too were asked to bring their petition. Under cross-examination, the Indibo lawyer put a question to late Chief Adebanjo as to whether Yorubas had any grievance against the Nigerian state. And the chief agreed, but when he put a follow-up question as to whether the Yoruba wanted compensation for the damages, the chief responded as a true Yoruba. Chief Adebanjo said that, and I will never forget that, what the Yorubas wanted was a sovereign national conference of all ethnic groups to iron out the causes of the grievances, because all the funds contained in the budget of Nigeria from its beginning to its end cannot buy the life of one Yoruba man who had died from the inequities and lawlessness in Nigeria. You will see this in the video coming out later this week. I read something from the book by Bishop Matthew Kuka, the Catholic Bishop of the Sokoto Diocese. And in that book, it's titled Witness to Justice. In that book, he highlighted the prayers of the Southeast. So what he did, of course, Yoruba people wanted something, the North also wanted, the East also wanted, and so on and so forth. There's nobody in Nigeria that Nigeria has not hurt. I'll say it again. There's no region in Nigeria that Nigeria has not hurt, or that Nigerians have not hurt. Just because people are not crying and throwing tantrums does not mean that, Nigeria has never done something wrong or bad to them. And like the gentleman on Facebook, I really, really respect, if not for anything, I respect Jeff Adebanjo for that to put up panel conversation. That video is on YouTube. You can watch it. You can look for it later. Brilliant conversation. It's not that we're not hurt. It's that we are looking for solution, not reparations. And I've said several times, those who ask for reparations, they only ask for that because they don't understand the Yoruba proverb. I'll say it in Yoruba, then I'll find a way to interpret it. They say if your father, let's say after your father or your mother dies, your parent dies, and you are going all over the place looking for your parents' debtors, be careful, because while you're looking for your parents' debtors, you may also find your parents' creditors. I didn't even say it in Yoruba, but I'm sure you get the point. The idea that you are seeking debtors, you owed my parents, you owed my parents, you owed my parents, you will find the person that your parents actually owe more than other people that owe them. In other words, those who are seeking reparations need to be asked to calm down, because they owe many people as well. First of all, nobody is paying anybody reparations in Nigeria. If you like, you can hate me for that. I mean, you already hate me, so that's okay. Nobody is paying anybody. In 1999, they asked for 8.6 trillion naira. How much was Nigeria's budget in 1999? 2025 January, Okonkwo, they came out and said they wanted 10 trillion naira from Nigeria as reparations. I saw the young lady that was talking about, we talked about it in the video that's coming out. The young lady was like, Germany paid reparations. You are not getting a farthing. You're not getting a dime. Who will pay you 10 trillion naira? The people you killed? Listen, Nigeria's economy, it's still largely the mono economy, right? There are other non-oil, components coming up, and that's good, but you depend largely on oil. The question is this: which states produce oil in Nigeria? There are many states, right? There is Delta, there's Bayelsa, there's Rivers, there's Akwa Ibom, and then you have Edo, you have Lagos, you have Ondo, you have some states in the southeast, Anambra, Abia, Imo. the way, by the way, I just want to digress quickly. People said one clown came and said, Nigeria is using money from the southeast. Is the southeast that's giving us the oil? The entire oil output of the southeast is not up to 2%. It's less than what Lagos alone generates or produces. Just to put it in perspective, the entire crude oil output of the southeast is less than what Lagos did, and it's not a big producer. Let's not talk about Edo, let alone Ondo, and let's leave the big four, because those ones are they are different, and a different class of their own. But this is the point I'm trying to make. The big four crude oil producers in Nigeria, the big four states. So we're talking about Edo, Delta. Sorry, we talk about Edo, Lagos, Ondo, and then of course the Anambra, Abia, and Imo in the southeast. But the big four are Rivers, Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa. What if I told you? And so what you're saying basically is this: if you want to pay reparations, it will be from the oil money you are getting from those places, Abi, plus the one you are getting from those of us who are just coming up in the southwest, Abi. Okay. What if I told you that all the states, and this is very instructive, all the states that produce oil in this country, outside the southeast, that you're going to get that money for reparations from, all of them were invaded by Igbo people before and during the war. And there's none of those states where people were not killed. Lagos, Edo, Delta, Ondo, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Bayelsa. And if you want to count others, Cross River, Benue, Kogi State. So those states that you invaded and you killed their people, and like in Rivers, you actually even ate their meat, ate their flesh and served it as meat in restaurants. They are the ones that will not contribute money and pay you reparations in 2026. Are you normal? You enter people's homes, burnt them in their homes, burnt them in churches, and the records are there. Nobody, you don't have to travel far. I can tell you the books if you need them. I'll just, all of us will study. We've done it before. We'll do it again. It's not to cast any aspersions on anybody, but there's no single victim in Nigeria's story. All of us have been hurt by the country, and all of us have also contributed something, even if it's tiny. Like you, right now. Our own problem is that we didn't used to do what other people do. We would just be fighting amongst ourselves. But even that one still contributes to how everybody has something to be responsible for. But nobody is a single narrative of Nigerian story. So people gather in one enclave and say they want reparation. I'm like, what are you thinking about? Who is going to pay you that money? The people you killed, the people you took their lands, people you killed and put them inside the oil wells, situations where people had to dig holes to bury their family members because Biafra soldiers said so. They're the ones you're going to collect reparations from. You must be joking. And Nigerians generally, but Yoruba people specifically, we have to know these things, because our children will just call up one day because this one that just play PS4 now come and tell you that your parents owe nobody anything. Your parents are not debtors to anybody. Our Lord did not tell you to be helping him pay any generation of anybody. It's painful, sincerely. It's just going around and say that word, I hate it. See, naturally, I don't like that word, because I think in the Nigerian context especially, it makes you now feel like some people owe some people something, like we want reparations for what? Oh, say something happened. What happened was terrible. It was crazy. But you see, Nigeria did its best to we did our best to make everybody feel good. And I'll say this before we move to the next comment. The issue in Nigeria, and people that are always complaining, it's not the events that they're complaining about. They don't know. We will tell them. It's not the events. It's the propaganda about the events. And that one, there's nothing anybody can do about it but the person who chooses to believe that propaganda. I could be talking to a person, showing them everything Nigeria did to give them a sense of belonging. A person will say it doesn't matter. Why? Because the propaganda is still rock solid. It's there. So all the facts I present, I know people will still curse me out and insult me. It's okay. The reason is not so that I can change the minds of Igbo people, is to let Nigerians understand the fact that your parents paid whatever debt people think was owed. But thank you very much for that comment. Nobody owes anybody reparations. And while people were asking for reparations in that Oputa panel, the Yoruba representative, and that was Chief Adebanjo, he was talking about Sovereign National Conference, which you eventually got under Obasanjo, but didn't really, nothing much came out of it. And then in 2014, went under GJ. The only sad thing about that one was that GJ said that if he came back, if he won the election, he would implement the recommendations. Well, he didn't win. I don't think that was a good play for him, to be honest. He should have implemented some of it at least. But he said, if he won, he was going to implement those things. He didn't win. And now we have it, by the way, if you haven't read that report, you'll find it on Redomi Global. But let me say something. Let me tell you one good news. The good news is that President Tinubu has begun to implement some of those recommendations. And one of the recommendations is development commissions across the regions. That's the reason we have SWDC today. And what they're planning to do right now, which they've gotten the license now, is to operate, railways within the Southwest. Other regions also have. So that's why I said that demand things structurally. Removal of subsidy, NEL fund. I hear something is coming to universities very soon. They're telling universities they have to be able to fend for themselves. I thought about it over the weekend when I heard it. I was like, this man is smart. So he's saying you're going to have to fend for yourself. That means it's possible that fees go up. Possible. It's not compulsory it goes up because there are other things they could do. But you see, if that goes up, there's already NEL fund for people. You see? So that's why I like him. We can talk about the details of the things he has done. We'll do that maybe some other time. In fact, not maybe, we will do that some other time. But thank you very much for that comment, Ayodele Iyola on Facebook. Mr. Lufunke Odering, they say Zone APC President to Southeast. How? What, for what reason? Who want to reap where they did not sow? Politics does not work like that. Thank you very much, ma'am. Soja Deyemi says by 2050, Igbo people will understand Nigerian politics. I hope so. Wait, 2050, Bao? No. I hope it happens sooner than 2050, take by June. And another one just, came out of the bushes and says, well done, I wish you everything that Nigeria has become. May your life mirror Nigeria. Now, when you hear these retards say this thing, there's something that they are trying to get you to say something. Oh, may your life be like Nigeria. May your life mirror Nigeria. May your life mirror your region. Peter, oh dear, I wish you everything that the Southeast has become. May your life mirror the Southeast. Say amen. Egbiri. Let's continue. Facebook. Olayenka Marion Oladimeji says, the article on unfinished greatness, where do I lay hold on it? Telegram or Substack? Unfinished greatness is not an article, it's a book. It's a book by Olufemi Ogunsanwo. You can get it on Redomi Books. We have a Telegram bookshop. Okay? We have a Telegram bookshop. It's called Redomi Books. Redomi is spelled REDOMI Books. So please go on Telegram. You'll be able to. You can order, and then the books will be delivered to you wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much. Someone said Tinubu is a big picture person. Mr. Demola Wolabi on Facebook. Thank you, sir. Femi Eniola, thank you very, very much for that gift. I really appreciate it. Apparently, you can give gifts on YouTube now. So if you're listening on YouTube, giving gifts is good. So thank you very much, Mr. Femi. I really appreciate it. Okechukwu says, are you saying that Tinubu is doing well? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And to be clear, that does not mean he is 100%. He is not. It would take a very strange person to come up with that kind of thing. In security, for instance, Tinubu is scoring, I don't know, maybe 4 or less. It's sad. Okay. Chukwu say, are you saying that the North will support Tinubu under bandits, kidnapping, and security everywhere? Let's not do this now. Let's not do this now. We were not born yesterday. Bandits and insecurity kidnapping did not start today. Evans that was kidnapping people all over the place did not become a kidnapper under Tinubu. Let's not do that. Boko Haram did not start under Tinubu. Let's not do that. There was Boko Haram before Buhari even became president. I mean, did you live in, I don't know if you lived in Abuja, there were time, the UN building was taken over by, I mean, even army barracks. So no, but to be clear, it's concerning, right? The security situation is concerning, and it can do a lot better, a whole lot better than what we're saying. And yes, we see some progress in some, but it's still like there's a lot more to be done. But I still support him. Because you don't support the politician because he's doing everything 100%. It's more than that. There are things he's not doing well. What you do is you push him, you talk about the things that are not working, and, advocate, and hopefully he does something about those things. But you also acknowledge the things that he's doing well. So the problem with folks like you is that to you, there's nothing good that can come out of Nazareth. To me, I can acknowledge the good and also complain about the bad. And when you put the two together, I mean, so yeah, I'm supporting him. Do I think the North will support Tinubu? Let's watch and see. I don't think you understand how the political game has been, how he started playing, how he started working on the North since he became president. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, how that plays. Interestingly, you have many presidential candidates now, so hopefully that will also help him. But thank you very much, Okechukwu, for that submission. But let's not act as if all these things just started yesterday. They've been around for a while. But of course, that's not justification for, he's always been there, so we don't really need to fix it. Of course, it has to be fixed. Ken Casey on YouTube says you have to be mentally unstable not to support Obi. Actually, you have to be mentally unstable to even type this nonsense in my comment section. Does that help you and those who raised you? You have to be mentally unstable to have the guts to type that rubbish. It takes a lot of stupidity to join your movement. This is I've come to discover. Because one of the criteria to join this funny movement is you have to check your brain at the door. Because you will not be needing it. So hopefully you can pick it up at some point, but I'm not holding my breath. It looks like this is your own lot in life. Ken Casey, well done. All right, they will help you in Yaba left. Let's move on. Mom Parfait on YouTube says, even with the Soludo, it is still going to be the same story. The obedience, will simply metamorphose into the solutions and toxicity continues. I don't think so. I don't think so because of what Soludo represents. And I'm not campaigning for Soludo. I'm just telling you what I think about individuals. I may be wrong, by the way. Okay, so feel free to counter it. But I think it's about the person, isn't it? It's about what the person represents. Okay, so Soludo, for instance, again, I don't agree with everything he says, and I don't have to in order to acknowledge the good things he's doing. And I'm talking specifically about his thought process that I can get from how he speaks and what he says. He sounds like a person who takes responsibility for something. And that changes everything. And I'll give an example. When he was talking about the Civil War, he said that, after all these years, he asked a question, and it was in UN, and I played it the other day. He asked the question that, why have they not written about the war to question what happened, to be able to really understand, what led to the war and so on and so forth. And with all sense of humility, I did that study. It's just that when you get to a particular point as a Yoruba man studying the war and how it happened, you feel like cursing some people, just cursing them, but thank God for the Holy Spirit. So you have to calm yourself down. And I'm Yoruba. So imagine if an Igbo person reads those books. If an average Igbo person studies and really understands what happened before that war and during the war and the roles of the leaders, they will be healed. Let me just put it that way. But before then, they'll become miserable. Because truth has a way of making you miserable before it sets you free. In my experience, and in many others, in the experience of many others, you become very miserable because it goes contrary to everything you've been taught. I mean, studying the history of the war and everything that led to it went contrary to everything that I had known before then. And for Soludo to be driving that narrative, I think it does something to the natural person. In other words, you're going against the populist approach to history. It's the same thing we did the other day when we're discussing Awolowo and Akintola. There's an approach, right? This is what that is based on this and that. But is there something deeper? And then you go deeper and you discover that the one you think is bad, yes, maybe it's not exactly, it's maybe bad, but there are things you can pick out of that person that you can apply today to help your own life because there's some good in that person. And I think that's what Soludo is trying to do. For me, to have that audacity, did we not hear another person saying things like, IPOB are his neighbors, they are not terrorists, because he will never come up to actually speak against evil. When what happened in Imo State happened last week, have you seen anybody from the South that's always shouting? Have you heard any of them say anything? It took someone like Soludo to tell you exactly what the problem was in his own state and what they're doing to fix it. I think that kind of person is a leader. It doesn't mean they have everything on lockdown. It doesn't mean I'm going to support him. Let me just make it clear. I'm not saying that this person is Jesus incarnate. I'm just saying that you can begin to find like traits of leadership. And people like that, yes, they're going to have supporters who would want to, go to the extreme and curse people out just like others. Every group, every movement has that. But it will not be the nature of that movement. Obedient is I don't want to say something bad. The very nature of obedient is caustic. It's caustic, it's toxic, it's gutter level. And Peter Obi doesn't mind. And I say this, that I will tell you that the movement is like a representation of the leader. And it's one movement where sometimes, and many times I should say, the tail tends to wag the dog. I don't think that person is a leader. So while I agree with you that, some of the things you've said, I don't think that that kind of thing would happen with Soludo. Even Tinubu has some toxic followers. Every politician has such. That's normal. But that's not the definition of the group, which, unlike obedient, that's the definition of the group. They are all toxic. If you find a non-toxic obedient, is the exception. A non-toxic obedient just gutter behavior. Like that's your representation. Just talk anyhow, insult everybody, curse everybody out. You don't support your president. Everybody doesn't know anything. Like the rubbish these clowns have been writing in the comment section, which I have not reading. Just talk. That's the representation. Anybody that has sense, that's able to actually communicate well as an obedient, is the exception, and it is what it is. But yeah, Soludo, I think, is going to make a better. Doesn't have to be a president, just a good leader. We see what he did with the CBN now. He consolidated the banks in Nigeria. There's certain things that he has going for him. And for me, listen, it's not so much about the roads. The roads are good, by the way. Roads, things that people can actually see, infrastructure and stuff like that. But I can tell if you will lead well with the way you speak. Once you're always apportioning blames, always complaining about others, always talking about how it's not really your fault, but everybody is wrong, but you have the ideas. I know you're a joker, which is what some of these politicians are. They cannot take. Tinubu was talking about Buhari the other day. He said, "I took over for myself. I can't blame Buhari." I was like, "This is good." We know he did not take over from himself. We know Buhari messed up the economy, and we are discovering the backstory. If you read the book that this man just published, and we have it on Telegram, by the way, on Read Me Books, Charles Omole, the book we published on Muhammadu Buhari, he talked about a lot of things going on the ground, like the cabals, those people that So we know Tinubu is not the cause of the wala, but that's how leaders talk. I'm not going to complain about it. I asked for this job. I've gotten it. I'm going to take responsibility and move on. That's the leader, not the one that will just talk and you just feel demoralized. I don't know. It is well. I'm almost done with YouTube and Facebook, so I'll just go on TikTok in a bit. So if you're on TikTok, I promise you are going to speak in a bit. Ẹkáàbọ on to other Facebook at YouTube. It might be no. Philip Olijo. Philip says, "Thank God to be due." I think you meant a response. You see, thank God to be response to questions. What of Tinubu who doesn't? Can you not speak good? I mean, you don't have to type it. Just write it in pidgin. You're making my head. I can read pidgin. Them just Philip. Sincerely, I can't. I can't. My Igbo is rusty. Just write it in pidgin. I beg. May I read down for pidgin because I don't know where I go read this thing for English. Where it go come out nice. Thank God, say thank God, say they respond to questions. What of Tinubu when they engage with Nigerians? And again, I have not heard you talk on the evil work that Fulanis are committing in Yoruba land. So, Philip, you have social media. Make yourself useful, okay? The oxygen you breathe in every day must count for something. Use your social media to talk about the evil acts that are being committed in Yoruba land, okay? All right, make yourself useful. Because most of you are stupid. You come to the platform, when I'm talking about what happened in Orire local government, you guys were here celebrating as if you won lottery. Now that I'm talking about this other thing, you're reminding me of the Fulani destroy your homeland. Go and talk about what's happening in your father's house. I don't want to read the second one because to make me speak, just send you home. King says, stop saying Igbo. It is Igbo, please. No, it is Igbo. You're right. And I apologize if it sounded like Igbo. No, it's Igbo. I-B-O. All right. I think we've done justice to Facebook. And I took my time to read YouTube and Facebook because it's been a minute that I read everything. I just read one or two, but yeah, I think I've paid my debt now to our YouTube and Facebook folks. So let's have some people on TikTok. I'm going to bring up Bumblebee, Omobo and Golden Apple and Flo. Please, as soon as you get up, please mute. I'll call on you one by one. Keep this. I'm not going to time you, but please keep it short. That would be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Please mute. Esheo, thank you. All right, I think Bumblebee is the only one that came up. I can't see the others. All right. Please, let's give them a minute or less. Has to be less. All right, while they're trying to come up, let's have Bumblebee. Good evening, Bumblebee.
Good evening, Prof.
Thanks for
bringing me up.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so basically, I had
your background is drowning out your voice.
Sorry, I'm on the road today.
Oh, okay, I understand.
So is it better now?
A bit, yes.
Yeah, so today I was having a conversation. Yesterday I was having a conversation with some people, the usual suspect now. And they kept pushing their agenda and everything. I was like, look, today I just told them, before, whatever bright ideas you have for the country, before you get there, you must survive politicking. You have to be a politician before you get there and be a good leader. You can't be complaining morning, day, and night that this is what they are doing to you, this is what they are doing to you. So if you can't survive that, if you can't organize a party, how are you going to organize a country? That is what we need to. That's where we need to be. Prof, am I there disturb live lane? My background is really very noisy. Maybe tomorrow I'll call and join in. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. 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 Oh boy. Talumobayen ka Fatia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Fatia can be. Anyway, sorry, I did that because of the call to prayers in the background. But thank you very much, Bumblebee. Hopefully we're going to have your submission tomorrow. Let's go to Flo. Good evening, Flo. Hello? Oh, we understand though, Bumblebee. And thank you for coming up, and I really wanted to hear it. Hopefully, if you write in the comment section, I'm going to read out, Sha. If that's not too, if it wouldn't be like a bother. All right, I don't think Flo wants to talk, so I'm just going to read some of the things here on TikTok as well, and then we'll call it a day. TikTok is on fire. All right, let's start from this one. Lagos says, I think we're talking about Kenneth Okonkwo's interview and the elections of 2023. It's about Igbo's ruling and repeating Agui and Rossi's style of governance. They want to use federal power to conquer other tribes in Nigeria. I don't know about that. But I do know that what has happened in history is that whenever certain people get political powers, they tend to, I'm going to use the words of Anthony Nauro, they tend to be militarily chauvinistic. That's from his speech, August 12, 1968. And let me quote him. He said, ethnic groups are usually chauvinistic, but the Igbos are militarily chauvinistic. And it is true. And people have to look in the mirror. Again, there's no ethnicity that is perfect. But what separates you as what separates the sophisticated cultures from the primitive ones is that the sophisticated one is always looking forward to growth, right? You're dynamic, you can change, you can learn, you can unlearn, you can make progress. But once you have a group where everything is just like now so it be, now so it go be, that's not a very good thing. By the way, there's something I did not mention earlier when they're talking about marginalization. You see, in 1979, I just remembered now. In 1979, actually, not only did the Igbos have the vice presidency, they also had the speakers of the House of Representatives. Again, you have to remember the context. This is 9 years after the war. And the man's name is Edwin Ume Ezeoke. That was the speaker in 1979. I was there for 4 years. So in 79, the Igbos had both the vice president and the speaker. And of course, that was not the first time they were having a speaker. They had Jajawachuku from 59 to 1960. They had also had a Senate President, Nwafo Rizu, who was the acting president by the time of the coup, and the man who refused to allow Buka Dipcharima to become the acting prime minister. But let me quickly mention something that has to do with Senate presidents in Nigeria. No ethnicity in this country has had more Senate presidents than Igbos. Again, we're just setting the record straight. Nobody's fighting anybody, just to be clear. I mean, I'm not saying they are the only ones who have been Senate presidents. There have been others. Okay. We have had Joseph Wires, who was Senate President 79 to 83. We had Iyocha Ayu, who is a thief man and was Senate President from 1992 to 1993. We have had an Idoma man, Ame Ebute, in 1993. But that's, and then in the new, in this new, is current dispensation, the Fourth Republic, we've had David Mark, an Idoma man, was there from 2007 to 2015. We've had Dr. Bukola Saraki, who is a Yoruba man from the north. We've had Ahmed Lawan, who is Bade from the north as well. We've also had, now we have Godswill Akpabio, who is Anang, and is from, of course, Akwa Ibom. But here's the thing. We've had more Igbo Senate presidents since 1960 than any other ethnicity in this country. Zik was Senate president in 1960. It was Igbo. Osadebe was Senate president from 60 to 63. It was Igbo, although it was from the Midwest. It was Igbo. Of course, he became the first premier of the Midwest. Orizu was the Senate president from 63 to 66. That's Dr. Nwafo Orizu. He's also Igbo, making 3. Okay. Now that's that for First Republic. Second Republic, they were more in as even the First Republic also sorry, not Republic, around independence, the speaker was Jawachuko, it was Igbo. But I don't want to talk about the House of Representatives. I just want to focus on Senate presidency. This 1999 that everybody's always shouting. Evan Ewerem was Senate president in 1999, followed by Chuba Okadigbo from 1999 to 2000, followed by Ayim Pius Ayim, who is now in APC by the way, followed by Adolphus Wabara, and then Ken Nnamani. So between 99 and present, we have had 5 Igbo Senate presidents. If you add them to the others that were there in the First Republic, you've had 8. So this thing about, they've been marginalizing us, they've not allowed anybody to do anything. How else do you show that you're not being marginalized? By making you president? That does not happen, because we already did that in the past and we saw what happened afterwards. And when it comes to, we've also had a number of speakers. We've had 2 Igbo speakers. So Third Republic, we had Igbo speaker 92 to 93. No, we've had 3. Second Republic, we had 1. And around independence, for First Republic, we had 1. Wachuku, Ezeoke, and Anekwe. Anyway, the point is that people should, if you're Nigerian and you hear marginalization and being marginalized, understand what it means. Words have meanings. That's dictionary meanings. But apparently, in the Nigerian space, words have different meanings. It's quite interesting that a word could mean something different from one region to another. For instance, when Jonathan was president and Yoruba people said, we are being marginalized, what they meant was that opportunities were not given to Yoruba people. What they meant was that, they were being essentially pushed out, of appointments, they were not being considered, and so on and so forth. So that's what they meant by marginalization. When the Igbo man tells you he's being marginalized, what he's saying is that you have not allowed him to dominate. When he tells you that you are not using merit, what he's saying is that you're not allowing nepotism. And this is not what you just hear on the street. I've read it in the book by Chinua Achebe, when he said that Nigeria was involved in mediocrity, unlike when they had meritocracy, when Igbos were allowed to flourish. And then we went to check what meritocracy looked like in the 60s, when Igbos were dominating every civil service. Sorry, dominating the federal civil service. Turns out it was actually nepotism. So you've got to be very careful. The person comes around and tells you, we're marginalized, nobody has allowed us to, and they're like, but you've had 5 Senate presidents. By the way, we had Deputy Senate President as well, Ikwe Ekweremadu was Deputy Senate President, The present Deputy Speaker today is from Abia State. Honorable Kalu, that's one that was sponsoring indigenous bill. That will not happen. Anyway, but he's Igbo. But no, people are going to make it look as if some people are pushing them out. That is not, a very good way of, having this conversation. All right, so I just said that because of what I read earlier. I'm just going to read some of the other things here. Owodeyinka says, how about Osun State coming on August 15 governorship election? They are still having I don't know anybody. So there's the thing. I don't know much about what they are doing. I know that there's Ambo, APC, and I think that Adeleke wants to come back, but it's an Accord party now. But I don't know who to support yet. When I do, I will let you know, sir. Sorry. So we're still on TikTok, right? Dosma, this one must be Igbo. It says, analyze logically in detail about the predominant Yoruba Fulani people in the southwest of Nigeria. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Can you not think? Read the room. Let's just leave this one and move to the things that matter. Lagos says Azikiwe betrayed Awolowo twice. I mean, that's actually quite true. It was in 59 and in 79 as well. Dogoyaro says, when will you read Gowon's book? I should get the book this week. By the way, the book, if you can begin to order tomorrow. That book is I think it's 35,000. But to be available on Redomi Books by tomorrow. So maybe next week, I'll just read a bit of it and then we'll have a conversation about it. Maybe next week or 2 weeks from now, just to have an idea what he wrote. And then we'll be able to discuss it. I'm not sure I can read 884 pages in because I have many other books I'm reading. But we'll see. We'll have that conversation, sir. But the book will be available from tomorrow. It's quite on the high side though, but I guess it's because of the many pages. So yeah, we will read the book soon. Unapologetic Omoluabi says, but it was Peter Obi or nothing in 2023. So what changed now? No, needs a law. He also has, what is, I guess, is gunning for, which may not be feasible now with the way things are going. Lagos says they are politically irrelevant and economically weak in their region. I mean, it is what it is. Says, what is the Igbo's IGR in South A? That's an assignment though. I have it somewhere. I'll say this. There's a report, February, I think it's February 2026. Let me look for it. I'll just read to you. This Nigerian, the loudest mouth. I mean, Adekunle Gold, I said it. I record the music. I'll find it to you. There's something, I think, from NBS. Sorry, from FAC that I have here. But I can say, I think the South, not even Southwest, because it's not even good to be comparing Southwest and Southeast, to be honest. It's not right. Your state had, I think, about 4 times the entire Southeast. Your state alone. Let's not even compare it. It's not fair. Your state alone has 4, and your state doesn't have CO, just in case people don't. I mean, I hope we're all, students of geography. There's no C in your state though. But according to FAC, your state had about 4 times. Okay, somewhere. You can check it out. This guy is published. I think it was Cable published it. Statistics also published it, but from FAC. So IGR, to be honest, you know what? Since you talked about it, let me look for it. Since you're asking a question, I don't think it's fair to not attempt to answer you, especially since I can access it. It just might take a minute. So if you don't mind, give me a second, please. What you discover, right, is that the people who are always, that's why it's not good to be those unnecessarily loud, no substance, just be disturbing the peace. Will make sense now. Northeast has bandits, Boko Haram. They actually had more IGR than the Southeast. Again, it is what it is. It is what it is. What's that to me? I really would have loved to. Give me a second, I'll find it. So here's the challenge. Once I start something, I have to finish it. What's that thing? Okay. I'm almost there. Brilliant. Found it. Q1 of 2026. This is work allocation. I'm looking for IGR. Mambo. Don't worry, it will be worth the stress. I assure you. Okay. This is Oyo State. Oyo State IGR for 2025 was 103 billion naira. How did they do that? Sheyi Makinde tried. No, 103 billion. How? Guys, I can't find it though. They have put up more information, so I'm trying to sort through it, and it's a shame that it's taking a while. Timbari Mayeke Mosha. Timbatiri Majekemo. I can't find 20. Okay, I found 2024. We're looking for 2026. One more. I don't think we have a report from February. If I find it, that would be good. If not, I promise you, you'll find. I'm trying to sift through a lot of documents, so I apologize. If I try this one, I don't find it now. We'll suspend it till tomorrow, and then tomorrow I'll be able to get it for you. But here's the thing. To answer your question, the region that leads when it comes to the internally generated revenue in Nigeria is the Southwest, and then when it comes to, Southwest followed by South, followed by, I think, Northwest, then North Central, and then you have Northeast, and then the least, of course, is the Southeast. And it's quite interesting considering the fact that it's the Southeast that tells everybody, that some people wear singlets, but they have a lot of money. Apparently, it ain't really working like that. I'll find your question. I'll find your answer later. Let me just read other things. LOG says meritocracy is not nepotism. I thought that was obvious. Of course, meritocracy is not nepotism. I'm saying that the definition of meritocracy in some places is actually nepotism. I hope you understand now. May God help all of us. Someone says there's an Igbo language campaign of the Igbo guy in NDC. I have seen it. It is what it is, I guess. You know what? There are many comments here. People have clapped and Olasunji 59. Mr. Olasunji says on TikTok, 2027 election will be a different ball game. Tinubu will clinch it. Amen. Amen. I want him to. I think it will be brilliant. So here's a suggestion, if you guys don't mind. Okay, I think somebody wants to speak. So let me bring the person to speak. While they're speaking, I'll find you that information and I'll read it out. I think that's a better way. I was going to actually, say let's play the anthem and then I'll bring people. But let's bring two people up. While they're talking, I'm going to find you that data. My battlefield, please. There's nothing. Okay, thank you. Actually, all right. Let's have my battlefield, and then I'll find you that stuff in a bit. Ẹkáàbọ.
Good evening,
sir.
Nice again.
Yes, sir.
Hearing from you.
Thank you, sir.
Educated so many people. Honestly, we are so proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
One thing baffles me all this while. How is it that Yibo have never mentioned Nzeribe that was selling arms to Nigerian government and Biafra?
Wow, that's it. Because it's going to damage the victim reputation if they say an Igbo person is the one selling weapons. Won't that be victim more? But sir.
Yes, I've been wondering. I said, well, I need to mention it to you because you have not mentioned it. You mentioned it in passing just a few weeks ago, but probably we need to do a conversation on it. How come they've never mentioned? And is this the same guy who actually tried to put fences against democracy during IBB? I know he's dead now, but we need to talk about it. They are not victims. They were gaining from both sides. He was selling arms to Biafra, selling arms to Nigeria, and it was one who defrauded Nkrumah. It was between Nkrumah in Ghana. And I think these people, this guy's dead body to be exhumed. I mean, in terms of conversation somewhere. Because he shouldn't rest in peace like that. That guy caused so many havoc in Nigeria. We need to exhume his body and do a post-mortem. Honestly, that's just the only thing I want to say, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that brilliant submission, and we will have that conversation. Zeribe actually, did what he did. But let's have Unapologetic. Good evening.
Good evening, Prof. How are you?
Welcome, sir. I'm very well. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, sir.
Basically, unfortunately, I couldn't come up last week. I think it was on Thursday. Was it Thursday? Is it Wednesday or Thursday when you were treating the Gowon's book? And there was this thing you said about everything that is done right, but one thing that I didn't do right, which was the Mantrans, no victor, no vanquish situation after the Civil War. Well, I think you didn't go. You should have gone a bit further in terms of not about Gowon now, but about Nigerian government as a whole. I think we need to be honest with ourselves. Every Nigerian need to be honest with accept this fact that the excesses of the Igbos of today is as a result of Nigerians. It was Nigerians' government that emboldened them. From Gowon's no victor, no vanquish after the Civil War to the Shagari Ekweme government of having a red carpet welcome reception for Ojukwu when he returned from exile, to the subsequent governments of having to bury him with a Nigerian flag when he died. It is only in the history of Nigeria that someone who took harm against a nation, who was returned to an heroic welcome, was allowed to participate in the government, in subsequent government, and was buried with the national flag with the national color that he took harm against. So all these are things that Nigerian government has made these people to understand that there are no consequences for actions, bad behavior, and that's what we say in these days. So I think we need to go a bit further than go on to all subsequent Nigerian governments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate your submission. Well, I focus on Gowon because, of course, we're talking about Gowon himself at the time. So that's why I did that. But yes, so personally, and I've said it before, that two things I hold against Gowon, but when I say I hold it against him, it's not like I'm blaming him. No, I have to find a way to explain. I mean, I he's responsible for those things, but I'm not judging him for his actions. And the only reason I'm not judging him is because he was very young at the time. And I don't know if I would have done anything better at 31, 32. But you see, the idea of no victor, no vanquished is it's a limiting concept, right? I've said this several times. I don't have to, I think people who have heard me more than once on that topic must have heard me say that when you say no victor, no vanquished, what you're doing is that you're creating a vacuum. And the vanquished knows that he cannot call himself the victor because, of course, he lost. He doesn't want to call himself the vanquished because of pride, which is human. And so there's a vacuum. So what he does is he calls himself the victim and calls you the victor. He calls you the villain. So the victor becomes a villain and then the vanquished becomes a victim. And that's because Nigeria allowed that vacuum of, we're all the same. We're not the same. The loser knows he lost. The winner knows he won. So what you do is you put people in their proper place and then you now rebuild from that perspective. But if you're dealing with the people who think the way folks from the Southeast think, and primarily because of the effect of propaganda, you have to put all your cards on the table rather than assume that, because I close my eyes, it means that, everywhere is dark. You are just the one, experiencing darkness in that moment. The other thing I don't like that he did was the fact that he stayed in the office for that long, considering the fact that he was talking about, what's the word now? He was going to transfer power to the civilian. So I'm talking about that specifically. But yes, to be honest, there's no ethnicity that has enjoyed Nigeria more than the Igbo. And I say that with everything I know. It's themselves and the Fulani. But you see, the Fulani actually, and this is true, the Fulani earned it. I don't like how they did it. I don't like the fact that they even got to enjoy Nigeria that much, but they earned it. The British preferred the Fulani because of what the Fulani did. The Fulani did something so grand that the British had to copy it and apply it to every part of Nigeria and call it indirect rule system. The Igbos didn't have to earn it. It was more of Sha Jagba. Once one of you gets there, bring everybody in. Nobody cares about the basics. And it's funny, if you read Anthony Nauro, he said, listen, when they were asking for Biafra, he said, if you give them an Igbo stand, this was his word, if you give them an Igbo stand, that's an exclusive area just for Igbos, they will say no. And he said the reason is because they have known, these are his own words, they have known Nigeria to be their country in this century. Nigeria saved the Igbos. And I say that not as a way to demean anybody, it's just a fact. If you read Joe Igbokwe, Igbos 25 years after the war, he said something quite interesting. He said, colonial government, was inhumane, but even then, it was they who actually, colonial enterprise was inhumane, but even then, it was that enterprise that actually led to the freedom of Igbo people to leave that place, to be able to fan out. Before the British, how many people do you see traveling over the country? I mean, I could tell you stories of Yoruba-Hausa relationship for 200-300 years before the British arrived. You don't have that story for the Igbos. The movement was because of the British and was because of Nigeria. And that's the reason for the Unification Decree of 1966. The whole idea was to take advantage. And listen, it's okay, just don't, it's okay to do things to favor your people. Just don't act like you're doing me a favor. All this one Nigerian nonsense that you hear all over the place, it has nothing to do with altruism. It has nothing to do with patriotism. It has everything to do with taking advantage of other people's resources. That's what it has always been about. Zeke was not championing one Nigeria because he wanted to change the world or he had this pan whatever idea. Because Zeke was an ethnic jingoist. I don't have to even apologize for that. It's written all over the place. It's in books. If you read enough, you'll find it there. He's always pushing the Igbo agenda. But they needed Nigeria to be able to actually get what they want. That's why John McPherson said they wanted Lieberstrom. And it's true. If I'm able to dominate your space and I move into everywhere and just fill everywhere up, I can take advantage of opportunities around your place, which was what happened in the North. Which was the reason for the Northernization policy of the Sadauna government that everybody's calling him tribalist for. He wasn't a tribalist, he was just being the leader of his own region. It was about Lieberstrom. It's still the same thing. When you hear people say things like, remove state of origin, let me become an indigenous after living in your place for 10 years. It is Lieberstrom. It is expansionism. It's not patriotism. It's a product of scarcity. It has nothing to do with unity. It's like, I don't have something here, you have it there, we'll now become brothers and I can share it. And I've said it several times. It's the exact philosophy of the prostitute in the book of First Kings. I'm going to have to drop you, please. It's the exact philosophy of the prostitute that Solomon had to deal with. And in case you don't know that story, I'll just quickly tell you. Two prostitutes had babies, right? I don't know why they had babies considering the line of work, but somehow they got pregnant and had babies. And then they slept. And overnight, one that slept on top of her child, slept and that child died. So she switched the babies. She put a dead baby, with the other prostitute and took the other living baby, right? And then they woke up. The real mother says, I want me call Lele now. Like, this is not my child. That's your child. Give my child. Eventually got to the palace. And the king said something. He said, after arguing, and both of them were arguing, like, oh, this is my child, that's my child, and so on and so forth. The king came up with a very interesting solution. He said he was going to cut the baby in two and he would share the parts, between the mothers. And one said, cut him. The other one said, let her have it. The one who said let her have it turns out to be the mother because she wouldn't want to see her child die. The other one that said, cut it, let me also have a piece of the pie. That's the thief. That's the one whose child died. Many of what you see in Nigerian politics is the prostitute philosophy. The evil prostitute who says, just divide it, let me have a piece of it. He doesn't care about the land. If you like, he's the first one that will tell that Lagos is smelling. Lagos is smelling. Ibadan has brown roofs. There's nothing good anywhere in this country as far as that person is concerned. But if it has to do with Kini, I must have political power there. We must feel represented. You must give us the sense of belonging. But you don't care about the land. It's because he's a thief. It's the same philosophy. Share it, break it, destroy every place. I must have a piece of the pie, but I don't care about the space. I don't even care if the place is good. All the civic responsibility, who cares? The place is smelling. Lagos is like this. Ibadan is like this. See or show all the security people. Bomb blast will happen in Ibadan. You'll be happy and be celebrating. You hear about what's happening on your state right now. You're very happy that kids were kidnapped. Just a bunch of buffoons celebrating people's misfortune all over the place. But you want a foothold in their region. It takes a level of stupidity to actually be proud of that. But again, I guess that's how nature, does these things. So yeah, I agree with you. And Nigeria just allow, after the war, for instance, our own fathers in 1970, and I played the video here last week, they were like, oh, let them come back. They were misled. People in Rivers State did not say so. Rivers people said, no, they're not coming back. They are not coming back. Because those ones understood their neighbors. We are just doing good people, great nation. And it's good to an extent. It shows that your heart is pure, but it also shows that you are naive. It shows you're naive, but we're no longer naive. We want God to bless everybody. We are fair and fairy. May God bless every part of Nigeria. Every ethnicity in this country is blessed. But you are not going to drink Yoruba people. You are not going to gaslight Nigeria or manipulate us into voting whoever you want. If what you have done so far, if what we have done so far is not inclusive enough, then pack your bags and go. And may God be with you. You have a safe trip back home in Jesus' name. Thank you, everybody, for being part of today's session. We're going to have to call it a day today. We'll be here tomorrow. By the way, we have the sessions every weekday, Monday to Friday, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African. Here tomorrow. We're going to have a great time together. My listeners on to might have a full session. Regardless, we always have a great time. I hope you had a fantastic time being here. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed reading the comments. I enjoyed listening to people. And I'm sure that we're going to have an even greater time tomorrow. My battlefield on TikTok says, plus they were not disarmed after the war. Hence, armed robbery was bathed in Nigeria. Do you know that Buhari paid Biafran soldiers pensions? Not in 1983, in this dispensation to Eshepari, in this 2015, 2022, between 2015 and 2023, he paid Biafran soldiers, they pay pension. So we'll be having conversations in this country. See, Nigeria is not perfect, but it's not that bad. How can you be paying people? That's the losing side, though. Our leaders, we have some interesting leaders. Some of them are, very terrible, but you have to also give them the flowers. Buhari, that everybody is saying is Jubilee. By the way, how can an entire region be that? Say Buhari is Jubilee from Sudan, and doctors believed it. PhD holders. They might as well use that PhD to be opening cans and bottle cokes, or just be opening crown coke. Because the PhD holder, the holder is just like a waste. PhD holders believed, master's degree, no degrees, plenty degrees, believed that Buhari was Jubilee of Sudan. That Buhari that everybody loves to hate is still the same one who was paying the money arrears for people that went to fight Biafra. It even owed them. Maybe that's why people think that we are, just kidding. You have Awolowo also giving people ex-gratia payment of £20. You hear people talk these days, there's no sense of gratitude. Oh, everybody that had, no matter what you had, they gave you £20. But that's a lie. People got their monies back. People who could prove that they had money, they got it back. And it wasn't just about £10. Some people got thousands of pounds back. Many people, as a matter of fact. And I played you a video the other day of John Wodo talking about his father. How he got £6,000 from Barclays 6 months after the war. They called him that the money don't even get interest. The ones who were given £20, they were given because, number one, they had no way to prove that they had any money in the banks in Nigeria. Number two, many of them are giving their money to Ojukwu in exchange for Biafran pounds, which had no international backing. They didn't have any standard. They're even benchmarking it against. They just have this fiat that has no. They brought the paper back to do what? Nigeria gave them £20. £20 is, or was at the time, equivalent of about 2 months' salary of a junior staff, like a laborer. It's not much, but it's a gift. It's not a debt, it's a gift. Send people say thank you. And no other place. Listen, all this Senate climb. What did America do after the Civil War? How much did they pay? We're going to talk about this later in the week, by the way, maybe on Friday, because I'm going to play that video here on Friday. I will repeat what I'm saying right now. How much did the Union, how much did they pay the Confederates after the Civil War in America? Not a cent. Nigeria gave £20. It was a gift. And that was not all that was done. £3.5 million was given to ACB and CBEN. ACB is African Continental Bank, the bank owned by Azikiwe. CBEN is Cooperative Bank of Eastern Nigeria. Money was put in those banks so that Igbos would be able to access loans and restart their lives. 12 million naira was spent in rebuilding University of Nigeria, Nsukka. That was about £6 million at the time. £990,000 every month subvention was given by the federal government to the East Central State, plus Awolowo had saved all the money that was supposed to go to them during the war. He gave it in like heavy tranche, like in bulk, to the administrator at the time in the East Central State. What else do you want anybody to do for you? You see what I did. People have tried. And listen, Nigerians, I don't care if people don't want to be, if you want to be a victim, it's okay. Nobody should come and tell you that your father owed them anything. I've just said a few things here. Nigeria, nobody owes anybody. How much did Nigeria give Ibibio people? Ogoni, Kalabari, Ikwere, how much did they get? These people were killed, not tens, dozens, or hundreds. in their own lands by Igbo soldiers. And Nigeria also perpetrated some terrible things in some parts of, present-day South also, to be clear. So I'm not trying to say, Nigerians were, Nigerian army was, clean about. I mean, Nigerian army also did some terrible stuff. But how much was given to those people? The ones you didn't give is the one who understands how life works. The ones you give is the one whose children are now coming to tell you that you did something evil for. How am I blamed for helping out? It's a gift. Not a single building in Yoruba land was taken over. They got their lands back. The only place they didn't get their land back houses back in this country was in Rivers. Abandoned property. Thousands of houses were returned. Rents were returned. There's a video, if you care to watch it on YouTube, Pusui Ori's YouTube channel, that talks about the abandoned properties. We did a breakdown of everything. What happened in Lagos, what happened in the Western region, the houses that they got back, the report of Brigadier Mobolaji Johnson. Don't just go everywhere just lying and throwing victim narratives. I can empathize, right? I can feel your pain, and that's normal, that's right. But I'm not a fool. And if you call everything I just said right now, if you say that it is tribalism, that's your business. It is well with you. Your mate on YouTube says, Prof, I was hoodwinked to believe that Jubil al-Sudanese nonsense propagated by the terrorists cooling off in Sokoto prison. The propaganda was very intense and believable at that time. You are forgiven. I don't want to say what I have in mind, but you are forgiven, your mate. But also, that also proves something. It's a legacy, propaganda. It's a legacy. Nnamdi Kanu went deep into it. But the very person who actually instituted this in this country was the man who made a whole lot of money doing it and then decided to make it a gift to his ethnicity. Nnamdi Azikiwe. If you read Awolowo's autobiography, and just, even after reading Awolowo's autobiography, still go and read Azikiwe's own book. Awo, the autobiography of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was published in 1960. Okay? 10 years later, My Odyssey by Zeke was published. That's his own autobiography. Awo said in his book that Zeke was the first consummate propagandist in Nigeria. It was not a joke. Why do you think West African pilots, why do you think he succeeded? The paper was such a bang. It did so well. People were leaving pensionable jobs to work with Zeke. It was successful. It came with a different style that nobody ever used in Nigeria, which is beautiful, by the way. But just use it for your business and leave it. No. While he was doing for his business, was also using it for his people. They caught on to it and they just kept using it. Achebe used it. Uchechukwu Merije used it. Ojukwu used it. Rafa Wazurike used it. Nnamdi Kanu used it. And since there was social media and radio, Nnamdi Kanu was very successful using it. Just create a story of, and the funny thing, and Zeke did it. That's his legacy. It's an amazing thing he did. I don't know. I know how he did it now. I know how he did it, but we're going to end on this note, by the way. He successfully mixed two disparate thoughts. As a matter of fact, not just disparate, contrary thoughts. He mixed those two things together and gave it as a gift. Number one was that they were better than everybody. It was Aryan folk. He got that from Germany. Aryan folk, the superior race. In his speech in 1949, June 25, it was in Aba, he said, the God of Africa has specially made the Igbo nation to lead the children of Africa from the bondage of the ages. This is the same person that was telling us that all of us are one. No, we're all Nigerians, all Africans. We're just in his book, he said, all's a man, everybody's a man. It doesn't really matter. Okay. By 49, God has specially made them. In that same speech, not another one, in that same speech, he said they are the victims of Nigeria. He said it. So he put two thoughts that are contrary. How can you be better than all of us, but you're still the victim of all of us? It makes no sense, because if you're really better, then you can't be the victim. It means that you must have used your superiority to conquer us, or to deprive us, which they eventually did, by the way, but not because of superiority, because of nepotism, between 60 and 64. And they did it well between January and July of 66, and that was it. The woman that went to the House of Representatives, that they were trying to recruit just less than 1,000 people in a federal school in Anambra State. 811 were from Anambra State. Federal institution, 811. 811. Recruitment, 900, less than 1,000. 811 from one state. You can't even share it with the state in the southeast. Those are the ones that come to Yoruba land and be telling you they are demanding good governance and how you must include them in everything. Meanwhile, back home, they are doing word of origin, state of origin. The word in Yoruba, word of origins. So you have to go and meet your counselor. Say two things before you hear, our place is better than your own. It's coming from that Azikiwe skinny. We are superior. God of Africa has specially made us. And he has made us to lead the rest of the continent. So the rest of us should follow. Follow who? Follow who no road. I beg you. Let's have our anthem, because if we continue like this, we go into another topic. Thank you very much for listening to today's session. We'll be listening to the Igbo Presidency, Kenneth Okonkwo exposes Peter Obi, and clearly people want Igbo Presidency. And like I said earlier, I'm trying to wrap up so that we can move away from the extracurricular activities. There's nothing wrong with wanting an Igbo Presidency. It's a legitimate desire, but it is wrong to blackmail the rest of the country and to mislead young Yoruba people into believing that you're doing this because of competence and altruism for Nigeria, and that the person you're supporting, you're only supporting because of competence. Even though he could hardly make two statements that are intelligible, right? China is always going to China. But you said that it was all about Nigeria. Suddenly, we're discovering now that was actually because you wanted an Igbo presidency. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important for people to understand where people are coming from. Also, we talk about the fact that using your people, staying Yoruba people demanded presidency in 1999 is a big fact. It wasn't Yoruba people who said it. It was actually G34, right, led by Ekweme. Also, and this is to be, because, listen, I mean, we didn't talk about that, but people also thought anything could happen if Yoruba people were not allowed because of what had happened in 93. But even then, when it was time to present a candidate in PDP, they did not just say, Olusegun Obasanjo, go and represent us. No, there was a primary election in Jos in February of 1999. And many people contested. Okay, Etiebet contested, Nembo Douglas contested, Jimmy Wobodo contested, Alex Ekweme contested. The reason Obasanjo eventually represented or flew the flag of PDP was not because he was Yoruba. It was because he won the primary elections. He won with 1,658 votes, while Ekweme had 521 votes. The reason other people did not turn was not because they were not Igbo, it was because they lost the primary election. If Igbos want to do anything in Nigeria today, they've got to understand the fact that you cannot say because 1999 they put Yoruba there, therefore they should come and put Igbo people there. That is ignorant. It didn't happen that way. But let's even assume it happened that way. You still can't say that, because that's exactly what Nigeria did for the Igbos in 1979, where all the three major parties had an Igbo on the ticket. The NPP had Zik as presidential candidate. The NPN had Ekweme as vice presidential candidate. The UPN had Philip Umeadi as vice presidential candidate. And so, regardless of where you turned, you would have an Igbo person, whether as the president or the VP. And Azikiwe could have won, he just did not win. And when Shagari won, his vice president was also Ekweme. This was 9 years after the war. 9 years after a war you lost, you had the vice president and the speaker. I don't know any other, let me just say it this way. I don't know many countries in this world that will trust the losing side that quickly. Nigeria did that. Nigeria is not a perfect country, but we've gotten some things right. And anybody whose destiny is attached to always talking down on Nigeria and saying we've not done anything to them, let them go and try to talk to the representatives to look for a way to get a session clause in the constitution so they can go and, try their luck elsewhere. May God bless every part of Nigeria. May God bless every ethnicity. May God bless this country. May we do well. And if a Yoruba person, may God heal everybody. And may people be healed. To be honest, it's not God that will heal people at this point. You have to allow the healing. All right? You have to allow the healing. May God heal everybody, but people also allow God heal them. But here's the thing to other Nigerians, particularly Yoruba people. If people decide not to be healed, they have a right to not be healed. It's their right. For instance, there are people whose livelihood, is dependent on their sickness and their disability. So the pity is where the income comes from, and that's okay. But for a Yoruba person, nobody should use their disability to weaponize your own empathy against you, to deprive you of what is yours in the name of one Nigeria, in the name of you are empathetic, in the name of see what they have done to me. Victim narrative must not sell as far as you're concerned. Be empathetic and don't be stupid. Don't let people weaponize empathy and tell you that they want to have something. Meanwhile, what they just want is an ethnic agenda. God bless you. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening to that. We'll be here again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. But before we go, like we always do, we're going to listen to our anthems, the Nigerian anthem and the Yoruba anthem. Sing along if you know the lyrics. By now you should. If you don't, learn the lyrics. Here's the Nigerian anthem. After this, I'll play the Yoruba anthem. All right. Nigeria, we hail thee. Here goes.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Àwa ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀, ìmọ́lẹ̀ wo ni wọ́kùn lágbára Ọlọ́run. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́ o, Nàìjíríà náà ò ní bàjẹ́, ilé wo ní dàrú, ọ̀nà wo ní dàrú. Bọ̀kọ̀ tàbá dáwọ́lé ló máa yọrí sí rere lágbára Ọlọ́run. May God bless you. May God bless every part of this country called Nigeria. May God bless our nation, Yoruba land. May God bless everything that you lay your hands upon. Have a lovely, lovely evening. And I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Have a lovely evening. God bless you. Esheo. About to finish, thank you, sir. Odaro.